Alright, well, since we're waiting for Ivan, I guess I can just tell everyone what the quick cast is for those who are new and don't know. Let's see, there we go. Quickcast is a controlled but open space for creators, veterans, and casual players to discuss topics and issues with Eternal Return. Each week, every Friday, I will create prompts based on conversations in the Herbs community and anything that I observe or the other streamers come to me with. If there's any topics we think worth talking about, don't be afraid to tell me or bring them to my attention, and I'll look into it. The goal of the panel is to give players of all skill levels a place where we can talk and share our thoughts on ER topics and get to know one another. We will never usually come to a solid consensus on any given prompt. It is mainly just to get an idea of where people are at, get a sense of community, and see where people think or what people think, you know. And sometimes we can come up with solutions to certain problems, but that's never usually the main goal. So obviously, like, we'll be debating topics, and some people will agree, some people will disagree, but of course you're totally able to just have your own opinion. There's no, like, arguments here. Save that for the suggestions channel on the main server. Anyway, that is mainly it. Usually I have 3 to 4 guests on every panel every Friday. I guess I couldn't get a clear answer out of everyone, so I just decided, you know what, everyone wants to talk about the same topic, so let's just do one gigantic debate about this thing, because it's a huge thing. They did just patch it, but I'm very interested to know, like, what everyone thought about the anti-termination system, mainly, and some other things regarding the season. I think that's really it for my intro. Without further ado, while we're waiting for Ivan, I guess we can go around the table and kind of introduce the people who are here, and then we can go from there. Hello everyone, I'm Celeste. I'm a small streamer and YouTuber. I make art and all that stuff. I'm here every day at the same time on Twitch at 3 p.m. PST. I do mostly discussion and casual content. I'm very community oriented, and I love to talk to other streamers, creators, and players, and do a bunch of fun stuff. And that's typically what I do. I'm very casual, but I'm very passionate and interested to learn more about the Herbs community and try to bring back some of that sense of passion and community that seems to be kind of missing in a lot of areas. So that's kind of what I'm here. That's what the podcast is for, and I'm excited to meet more of the creators. Steeler, I don't know too much about you. I've only talked like once. Just a little bit about yourself, if you will.
So my name is SteelerGirl. I normally have a 101 at the end of my name, but okay. It's a little easier not having it most of the time, just because SteelerGirl was taken on Twitch. I played Eternal Return starting from the open beta. I had to stop for about 2-ish years because my computer at the time died. So when I got back into the game, I don't know, maybe 4 or so seasons ago, I mainly played Tia. Yeah, I'm garbage at introducing myself, but that
solid. No, I also suck at it. Don't worry.
Yeah, you know, you kind of forget everything about yourself when you go and introduce yourself.
That's very true. It is. Well, then let's see, Grubbz. Tell us about yourself, Grubbz. I know lots of people know about you, but for those who don't.
What is up, my guys? My name is Grubbz. I make Eternal Return content mostly for new players, but recently I've taken a little bit of a break, kind of stepped away from content creation just to work on some other stuff. But yeah, I mostly try to help draw people into the game because I was a new player when I started my channel, like less than a year ago, and so I wanted to be a new player introducing content for new players since I pretty much understood that demographic.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's me.
Solid. Katherin, a little bit about yourself as well. Anything we should know? Fair enough.
Hi. I'm Kat. I just play games.
That's fair.
And yeah, that's pretty much all I do.
Stream very casually. And then, of course,
Yeah.
Shelly, last but
I-
certainly not least, of course.
Hello, I'm Shelly O'Nelly. Stream on and off on Twitch. Started playing Herbs 2022 on Valentine's Day,
Okay.
and stopped for a bit, picked it up again about a year later, and been playing bit by bit, and then I got more into it.
Yeah.
I'm a casual, I am very newbie, and I have a knack for tunnel vision.
I can kind of relate to that. Yeah. I'm also very new. I joined the season last season, actually, like just before, I think about a week before Justina released. I was on February 3rd, I think, is when I first started playing. I found it off of the Steam page, as most people do, it seems, and then kind of just went from there. Like, I was immediately attached to the community. I was invited to the Eternal Connections, and then instantly got roped into everything. I think if I hadn't found the Discord, or if I wasn't greeted by a bunch of people, I probably wouldn't have stuck with Eternal Return, not gonna lie. I mean, fair enough, the new player experience is still very rough, but they're definitely trying to make steps into fixing that, which is very, very cool. I like to see it. The main thing I want to talk about this season is obviously the anti-termination system. It's a very, very heated topic. I've seen never-ending discussion about this thing. I've seen so many different points of view that I had to bring on as many people as I could to try and talk about it, because it is so big. So what we'll do is I want to kind of give my opinion, or I guess first take on the system, just kind of a brief overview, and then I will go around to each and every one of you and kind of hear what you guys think as well, and anything you want to start with, and then we'll go from there. It is mostly just kind of like feels and vibes. We just kind of like figure things out as we go, of course. And that's how it'll mostly just work. So to start, I think that the system, despite what a lot of people have been saying, I think it's a good system. I think that it was just drastically implemented wrong. I think that they should have spent more time trying to tweak it, because implementing it as it did, obviously, like 2 days in, it made things so congested when spawns would happen, because there would be full 8 teams every single time that you would have objectives across the map. So it made objective play almost impossible. I mean, at least for a casual player, it made it so de-incentivized, because it was so risky and so annoying and impossible to try and fight ABCs constantly every single game for an objective, that it seemed almost just completely more valuable to try and go on the other side of the map and just completely avoid fights. It's like the whole point of the system seemed to incentivize fighting, and yet it almost did the exact opposite because of how condensed fights have been. So I thought it was a very awkward system. I think that, like, there is room to argue for it being there, though. There definitely are arguments, because we did see a green, actually. We're in the positive of players now. We've seen a growth in both casuals and the veteran scene, so it seems that universally it's a good system. It's just that a lot of people are upset about various areas, but I think that the steps they're taking with it are actually very good. We did just get the patch notes. We'll talk about that a little bit, but I still do want to hear about your guys' opinions on it before the patch notes, and what you guys were thinking before it got changed. I guess we can start with Levi if you want, or if anybody else wants to speak first.
I don't necessarily have a swinging opinion on the anti-termination system yet. That's kind of what I hope to get out of this, is to either find out if I can like swing one way or another. But currently, I'm kind of 50-50 on it.
Yeah, totally. I think Grubbz, if out of everyone, I think that you're probably the most spoken about it, even if you don't think so. I've certainly seen in the Discord you've got some very strong opinions about some of the things this season. Maybe not necessarily at the termination system specifically, but you definitely do have some opinions, and I would love to hear them if you want.
So the problem is that we've had 2 really poor seasons in a row. And the big issue is that I don't think Nimble Neuron is testing out some of these features probably as thoroughly as they should. And to throw it into the season instead of having like a true preseason that's maybe like a month long or something like that feels kind of bad, especially when you have adjustments being done. Like, you know, they couldn't fix the system because of how much it was interweaved with other gameplay elements and like coding, I'm assuming, until a month in. And it's like, okay, well, I'm somebody that likes to wait until everything's settled in order for me to like get it started on my rank season. And so like I've now had to wait like a month for that to kind of like happen. So that's where I get frustrated, which is like not their fault. They're a small team of developers, so like they're doing the best they can, and I can't like fault them for that. But when it comes to the early termination system, they ruined the tempo of the game. And with Eternal Return, tempo is really, really important. And I think that the thing that frustrates me the most is that, like, while that's frustrating and you can always adjust to tempo, they said specifically that they made changes with the idea that the ABC element would be kind of rectified. But the truth of the matter is that they made it, like, way, way worse. And so it's like, I don't really care if like that's the way that the game is going. It's not how I want it to go, but I'm only one person. But if you're going to say, hey, we're doing this to eliminate this issue, and then you don't see that that's going to be an issue like later on, then that feels bad. So I'm not really a big fan of the early termination system. With the rollbacks that they've made, it's like, what is the point of it then? Like, great, we get to survive one night. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You might as well just remove it from the game because it's no longer doing what you wanted it to do.
Right.
But I think the drawbacks from it was that, like, you need to either A, have a bigger map, or B, like, have different objectives, or change the timing of it. And it's like, apparently they found a band-aid that might fix it. I don't know, I haven't tried it. But it's just, I don't know. It was so stupid for them to be like, oh, this won't like change things up too much. And I'm like, I'm getting third and fourth partied like constantly. And like when you play a character like Barbara that relies on her cooldowns, or Tazia that relies on their cooldowns, it feels bad to lose to like a Luke that can just Q constantly.
Right.
So there's just a lot of variables that came into play with it that feels bad. That's all.
And it feels like they didn't really consider any of that before releasing the system, huh?
I don't think it's that they like didn't necessarily consider it. I think it was one of those things that it's like when you make a like statement like, oh, this should fix the issue, and then it like completely backfires, it's like, bruh, like that feels a little unprofessional, which like I hate to say because I know Nimble Neuron really tries and they really do care about their like I know that they were asking like high elo players like their opinions when it came to rank. So like obviously they care and obviously they want to be involved.
Yeah.
But like it kind of felt shitty to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about how this is gonna like solve XYZ problem. And it's like, how did you not think that having all like 7 to 8 teams surviving until day 3 was not going to result in this? Like, you've already taken out the hyperloops, which would have made it so that you could get to the other side of the map. And now you're restricted to certain zones with the VLS system, which is fine, but like now like we're gonna also have to be like clustered around. So yeah, it just kind of feels bad in that sense.
Yeah, I think I agree with that mostly. Yeah. Before I go into before we like go back and forth with that and share kind of my opinions on that, I'll let the other two share. Catherine and Shelly, do you guys have any idea about the season, or like at least like what your thoughts were when experiencing the system?
Yes. I honestly like the change a lot. I enjoyed it a lot. Just being able to jump in with no fear of getting eliminated into any fight, it made it really fun. But yes, in late game it was a very big issue with a lot of teams. I had a game where there were 7 teams in the last zone, and it's just not okay. But it is very fun.
Yeah.
And I also think it helped a lot, especially to most of my friends. Because, for example, I have two friends from the city that I live in, and they are very new to the game. They struggle a lot.
Hmm.
And I know that feeling because unlike most of the people that play Eternal Return, I didn't come from a MOBA. I didn't come from League of Legends. Eternal Return is the first game like this that I played.
Hmm.
And when I started, basically when the game was released on Steam, it was unplayable for me until I got someone to like help me around understanding everything.
Right.
And from there, like playing more and more to get to a point where I can say, okay, I can play now on my own. I can try to do stuff. I'm learning. The problem is that I remember clearly how, um, at the time, characters like Natapon and Hotel just could just kill you instantly without letting you TP out, and it made the game very frustrating.
Hmm.
Then they added that you can revive as long as you want the first days, as long as your team is alive, and it made it easier
Yeah.
for all of my friends. And with this change that they made, I I was very happy. But yeah, it was a very big problem. Most of it in ranks, because in norms is like whatever. You just keep playing, just keep queuing. It's
Yeah.
nothing. But in ranked, it does really matter, and it's just not okay having so many teams and having every single fight be not only like ABC, but also D, maybe even another letter to the fight.
Absolutely. And they even mentioned that on the patch notes just yesterday, where they're looking into possibly adding different rules for norms compared to ranked. And I think there actually is a solid argument to be made that norms could be very different. I mean, a lot of other games, especially like League of Legends, Overwatch, what's another one? Crap, I haven't played many of those, but those two specifically I can think of. I played them, and they both have like different rules, or I guess different gameplay for their basic modes. Overwatch has got quick play. It's completely different from ranked in that it's much faster. It's totally shifted. You only play on one side of the map, but there's longer fights, more time. So it just plays very differently, right? And I think that there is totally an argument to be made that norms could be more casual and make it more approachable for your player base. You lock ranked behind 30 levels, right? Like most people are not even going to play that for the first however many hours. So it's like why not try to make your norms mode, the one that you are presenting to everyone that picks up your game, more approachable. You don't have to balance the game just around ranked and norms together. You can separate them. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that it actually would promote people playing, like any hardcore players. It promote them playing in ranked instead. I think that the major counter argument to that though would just be that like a lot of ranked players will play in norms as a way to scrimmage basically, or like practice, right? So making it different from ranked would make it completely irrelevant, or at least a lot harder to get a proper experience or actually practice reasonably, because it would be very different. So I can definitely see some arguments for that, but I think that it's kind of silly because mostly what you need right now is just a growing player base. We don't even have that. I would love to focus on the competitive scene, but you need a player base to even sustain it in the first place. And the thing that you need to do to get it is be sustainable. You need to have a approachable gameplay loop for people to pick up and learn before they become those veteran players. Like you don't just have pro players right off the bat. You don't. Like most people do not join in and instantly know how to play your game. That doesn't happen. So you have to give them the avenue in which to learn how to do so. I did kind of skip over you, Shelly. Is there
Not a
anything you
problem.
want to add?
I just wanted to add that I do like it a bit. You know, like if you get into a match and you just finish making all your items, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's one team here, there's one team here, there's one team here, and you're all grouped together. Whoops,
Yeah.
you got killed. Too bad. But this gives you like a second chance. It's like, oh, that's way too many people there. And
Right.
I just like being able to get a second chance, possibly. But later on, like, I think it was like it lasted till day 3.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was like way too long for like teams to be wiped and coming back.
Absolutely.
Afterwards.
I don't think anybody's disagreeing with that. It was way too long. I think we all kind of understand that like day 3 anti-term is crazy. That was insane that they did that. I'll loop back around to you, Grubbz, because I know you said some things that I want to try and like debate on a bit, because I don't agree 100%, but I'll let you like reiterate or at least try to remember what it is you said that I was trying to. What was it? I guess is there anything you want to add, I guess? Maybe that I missed.
I mean, we still have Steeler and Levi.
Oh,
but
do we? Oh my god, I completely forgot about you. I completely skipped over you two, didn't I? No, Levi was kind of waiting to get an opinion because he did say that like he didn't really have an opinion right off the bat. It was here to sort of learn about that from everyone else. And then Steeler,
Kind of
did I
from
skip
like
you?
that perspective, I feel like this game was very like bred to be a competitive game though. Like I'm all for enhancing the casual experience, but I don't think it's the primary focus for this type of game. And I
Yeah.
don't think like a lot of pro players are gonna like head to normals to get like experience. Like I think they'll always just go to in-houses first. Like I don't think it's ruining the normal experience, but I also don't think it should be like a forefront for the game as well.
Mm-hmm. I would disagree with that, just because you can't make a purely competitive game. I understand that there are some games that do that, but you're coming at it from the perspective of a game with the IP and population to sustain something like that. League of Legends is one that is notorious for one of the most popular and like massive competitive scenes ever, right? It has like 300 to 500 people, like millions of people watching their seasons every single new season. It's crazy how much they pull in. But League of Legends is a massive IP that's been around for years, that has the player base to sustain that. It's got the reputation, it's got all of the advertisements, it's got its own show, it's got its music. Like it has all these things to where it doesn't have to bother with the casual scene at all. It is remarked as like one of the most competitive games ever. It has that reputation. Unfortunately, we don't have the player base with Eternal Return to do that. And I think that it could benefit from having an approachably casual game mode that people can get into, so where they kind of just are allowed to learn the game. I think the major crux about why new players pick up this game and have such a hard time is that the focus is the competitive, and of course the game wants to do that. And I think that in the long run, that would be the healthiest option for Eternal Return. You are right, it is definitely a competitively bred game. It is meant to be competitive. Absolutely, 100%. But you can't lead with that, because there are too many competitive games out there, and if you start with that and it's not approachable, and it's a tough game to get into from the first 100 hours, it is really hard to get into because of how small the player base is. If we had the numbers, I think that you would totally be right, but we don't, and the only way you can get those numbers is by being approachable. Competitive and ranked is not approachable to most people. Most people picking up your game are people who just see it on Steam recommended and are just interested, and they just pick it up. I was one of those people, like,
Yeah,
and
I think if
Go
you're
ahead.
like going to be like the biggest game out there, it's probably not. But I don't know. I don't think the Eternal Return numbers are unsustainable. Like they've talked about like how they would love a 10K average player base, and I think on Steam charts we're 9,300. Like we're not crazy far off.
But you also have
Obviously,
to
we're not like a League of Legends type of
No.
game, but I don't think we have to be.
No,
I was gonna
absolutely
say,
not.
like, I think some of the appeal of Eternal Return as well is the complexity and the difficulty that comes behind it.
Sure.
Because so many mainstream games have dumbed down to accommodate for the mainstream audience, Whereas Eternal Return has been pretty faithful, even though like I know a lot of the old heads and like the OG would probably like disagree because obviously they've made a lot of changes to make the game more accessible. And even I feel that way with like when they release like new characters and they're not nearly as complex or cool as like what the old characters are. Like it, that's kind of the appeal of Eternal Return, is that there is like it is a higher echelon of players, and I think because of it, our community is really tight knit, and there's a lot of respect for other players. Because in order to be successful in this game, you have to be adequate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that this game is just incredibly complex. That it is true. Like, there's so many different systems and so many different unique nuances to this game that are definitely very attractive. I mean, a lot of people will be turned off by the like certain systems that are unique to this game, but of course that's just going to happen for any game. That doesn't mean that the system's bad. It just means that like you have a unique niche that will appeal to certain people and not others, and it is totally okay to try and balance a game towards a certain niche. I think that every game should do that. There games that try to balance towards every group of people and try to appeal to everyone almost always fail, or they just do worse than they could have if they would just focus on a specific audience, right? Having a target audience is a good thing, of course. That's kind of why I want to figure out where they should go, and I think that actually that was the thing I think I was trying to remember that you said early, Grubbz, was that like it almost feels like they don't really know what they're trying to do. It's like they don't really know what the direction is, and they're kind of just throwing things at the wall until something sticks. I don't know, it's kind of awkward.
I think they have a plan in mind. Like, I don't think that, I don't think I explicitly said that they don't know, like, what to do. I think that they are following a very similar path that League did, where they are not trying to appeal to the Western audience. And that makes sense, because the Western audience is not what's making up most of their player base. So why would they listen to us? Which is a completely valid reason. I mean, if I was a company trying to make money that was a small time company, like, why wouldn't I appeal to the most common denominator?
Yeah, totally fair. It's an interesting topic just because like there's so many different viewpoints. I'm trying to figure out what my own opinion is, because obviously I have some initial ideas and thoughts about it, but of course the whole point is that I'm trying to reform that and kind of figure out what might be the best answer for some of these things. I'm very concerned. Like, my biggest problem thus far has just been the advertisements and the PR and that kind of stuff, and I think that they absolutely could be doing better in the West. I have no problem with their prioritizing Asia. I don't have any issue with that. I think that, of course, a developer should go after their target audience, but there also is definitely an audience in the West. There absolutely is, because if there wasn't, then nobody would be playing their game. There certainly is. The community over here is very passionate about their game, extremely, the same way as their main audience is. I don't think that changes just because it's a different server that they're not targeting. I think there absolutely is a market and enough reason for them to try and, advertise for the West. I think that there are plenty of reasons why they should.
They explained that though in like the latest dev stream. They explained why they weren't advertising to the West. And it had nothing to do with like it had everything to do with the fact that they tried before and they were like, oh, this doesn't actually change any numbers, and it's really expensive to advertise in the West. So I honestly, from my perspective, I would rather them spend that money on developing new systems, like maybe getting a test server or something like that live. That way that, we don't run into the problem that we ran into this season. If that money was going there, I would be so much happier than them trying to advertise out to the West when they said that it didn't change the numbers whatsoever when they tried before to advertise.
I would almost argue that the reason they failed with their advertisements was not because it's not sustainable, it's because they don't know how. It's that their advertisements that they used are not accurate examples for good advertisement to the West. They said on the dev stream that they weren't entirely sure how to advertise, and that it's very hard, was the thing that they kept repeating, is that it's really hard. And yeah, I get that. Advertisement is not easy. Of course, I do my own. Like, I understand how hard it can be, and it's a very expensive thing to do. But they don't have to be crazy. It is actually pretty simple to advertise the West. It's a very simple strategy, and you can see what other successful games have done to advertise to the West that have other audiences that aren't the West, how they advertise. You have other examples that you can just use to try and figure out proper strategies to do so. I think that the examples they have are so bad that it's unreasonable to use that as then I guess it's just not sustainable. It's just not a good idea. The West is just not a good market for us. No, I think it absolutely is. I think like people are finding it on Steam and they're just playing it because it looks good. Like there definitely are people that would love to play this game if you presented it in a way that like would advertise or appeal to them. There absolutely is. I think that games that advertise a casual audience, especially in the West, because casual audiences actually make up most of the West. Like most people, especially in the US servers on most games, are very casual. The most popular games in the US and West as a whole have been single player or co-op or casual games, which is part of the reason why going for a casual direction on Eternal Return would be sustainable, but it probably would damage their reputation in other areas. So it's kind of, I understand why it's hard. I totally get it. But like that's why I'm doing this whole thing. That's why like I'm opening these discussions, because I think there are areas in which they definitely could be doing these things, and there's enough reason for it.
What's the definition of stable in this context?
Stable?
Yeah, for this context. Like
stability, I guess in this context would be defined by a certain number of player base that can make your games sustainable. Like I don't want to wait in 10-minute queue for a norms match. I understand if it's like super late at night, then that's to be expected, but if it's like peak hours and I'm still having a hard time finding games in your basic game mode that most people are playing, that feels bad. It just feels bad, doesn't it? I understand why it shouldn't be a good thing, or it shouldn't be a priority to try and expand your player base. It doesn't need to have crazy numbers. 1020k is perfectly sustainable. Like I don't think that they need to go any further than that, honestly. 20k is success for a game. What's up?
I was gonna say we set at 20k.
Yeah.
We set at 20k players, so technically we are successful.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, I just mean like if sustainable means like keeping the game alive at this point. We're in what, like season 15 or something? Like yeah, 7 for 1.0 and then 10 early access seasons. Like I don't know. Like I don't really queue normal games too often, so I don't really know how long people have to wait. But yeah, if more players would mean faster queues, like I don't think anyone's turning that down. But
no.
also,
and the
like,
main reason why we don't have things like skill-based matchmaking is because your player base is so small that you literally can't do that. You're also
we do. We have like an MMR system for like normal games.
Yeah, we have some MMR, but it's so loose that like it very well may as well not exist. I mean, do we have matchmaking? Like I've been told that we don't because the player base is so small. I mean, maybe that's why they.
Like, I don't think it's good.
I get queued against Immortals though.
We do, but it's in my opinion terrible. I don't think they should be queuing with DDoS.
I think the only reason why. Also... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna be like, we had like an overhaul of the MMR system, so I'm sure that's why it's like as fucked as it is.
Yeah.
Like we used to have a normals ladder at one point too.
What?
Yeah, we did. I remember that.
You what? Well, that's new to me. I think that games definitely should have skill-based matchmaking. Competitive games should always have skill-based matchmaking. Always. If you have the player base to sustain doing so, there's almost never an argument against having it, because it means that new players and players of lower skill that don't care about the competitive scene and are just trying to play it for fun can go into a match and be fighting players at their skill level. And it makes it a lot easier for people to approach the game, so that as soon as they get out of bot games, they're going to be met with other players of their skill level. If you had a sustainable or sizable player base, you wouldn't even need the bot games, because you would have so many players that they could just be put into a new player queue. Other games do this. Other games, much larger games that have much more numbers, much bigger numbers, do this. And they're much more sustainable in that. They're much more approachable. And they have their casual audiences. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't have that, because those casuals can eventually become veterans, or or they engage with the competitive scene. It just makes you more money. Those people are usually the ones that spend money on your skins or your events. They're the ones that engage the most with the competitive content, even if they don't actually play it. It's the same thing I've seen in many other competitive games, and I think that ER could absolutely benefit from it. Would it cost them a lot? Probably. It is a big risk to them, and as a company, I can understand why they're not doing it. But that's why I'm trying to argue that maybe they should. I mean, I think that the past examples are not valid examples for saying that you shouldn't do this. If they had other reasons why that are more valid, then sure, I can understand. But using like the examples and the excuses I've heard for why they shouldn't be advertising or why they shouldn't do this or that in the West don't make sense to me.
I think for now, I think they should hold off for advertising a little bit. I mean, we just got out of the red not too long ago. You have to remember, for the past couple of years, they've been in the red. They've been draining money.
Mhm.
And kind of part of the issue, it's like right now, they're in a stable place where they're actually in the green. And I think that's kind of the first thing they need to focus on. Because right now, they kind of know what to do in Korea, and marketing is expensive, and for how many companies there are that have succeeded in doing these marketing strategy, there's 10-20 times more
Mhm.
who have done like the same exact thing that have failed. So it's never like a guarantee. So I think they should be focusing as much as they can on just like staying in the green at least.
I think you're absolutely right about that. That they are finally in the green, and it is not the focus. And the whole point of me bringing it up is not to say that they should be doing this like right now. I just want them to look into it. I think that they definitely could see in the future, like once we've gotten into a positive climb and they're happy with it and they're not like just guzzling out money trying to do these things, then I think there definitely could be an argument made. It's more like I just want to present it now, and start thinking about it now, because it definitely could be something they should look into. I think as far as advertisement, that's really all I had to talk about, but I feel like I had to bring it up to everyone because it's been my major concern. I understand that Nimble has said that they don't want to like be super popular. Like it costs a lot of money, and yeah, they don't need to. Like no game really needs to blow up. Most games don't. So I understand. It's just you could do better. I think that they absolutely could do better in the West. That's all I'm saying. And it's more so just trying to give them some ideas on how to do that, because I think they totally could. And I think it would be beneficial, incredibly beneficial to them if they did. I think there were other things about the season that I wanted to talk about. Is there anything, while I'm thinking of something, anything you wanted to address about the season that you either do or don't like really like? Of course, you can share some positives or some negatives. Any thoughts you had about the season other than just the termination system? Anything that you think needs to be addressed?
Yo, how about that Luke skin though?
Oh my god.
Daddy Luke?
Oh my
Hello?
god, that Luke skin.
No.
Like, please, you have called to me, Grubbz.
He just looks
Like,
he looks like Kenneth.
I don't
That's not a
care what
problem.
he looks like. He looks hot.
I will double team Luke and Kenneth personally.
Oh my
but-
god.
You
I
heard it
Darko
here
in
first.
there
Yeah,
and
my
like, yo,
goodness.
you got me sold.
Oh, average streamer opinions.
I'm just really happy to have some sexy man skins, okay? We had to deal with the bunny skins, like, and
That's
I didn't get a single
true.
man in a bunny outfit. This is bullshit, Nibble Neuron. So thank you for the Daddy
No.
Luke skin.
Corset season? When's that happening, huh? Get the male corsets in here. I mean, that's
Well,
that's the
we also
equivalent.
got the Daddy Darko skin. Let's
That's
be honest,
true.
the Daddy Darko skin is
Yeah,
it's so
that's
good.
true. So good. I agree. I also did not voice my opinion on the auto revival.
Termination system.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
go right ahead.
I do think the termination system is a step in the right direction. I almost quit back in the solos days from fast. Like, at the time it was like 6 teams. There were like 16 people in the game,
Yeah.
but now it's like fast 8. And normally, like, your early deaths on like day 1, night 1, I kind of sometimes like bullshit. Like, deaths, you know, it's like, oh, like, you know, like you and your team haven't met up yet, and another team is like fully grouped up and they jump on you, and then your teammate loses like a 1v1.
Hmm.
It's never like really like a team fight. I am kind of on the, you know, opinion that I think it should have stopped on like after day 2
Okay.
to at least give like long enough to have that like first objective fight, but the timer being long enough to deter you from going back there and dying like afterwards.
Hmm.
But you know, like I don't mind it ending for the objectives, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Like other games were kind of doing that. Like I know Apex was testing out an auto revival
Hmm.
system as well when I was playing it again, and it's, you know, it's nice, especially, you know, whether it's for casual or, you know, like competitive people. Like no one likes a fast day. Like it doesn't ever feel good to fast day, you know. We're all kind of supposed to be having fun with the game. Like fine, I gotta like something that's, you know, like, you know, crappy.
Yeah. And going off of that, yeah, I do want to, like, I segued a bit. I'll rope us back in and talk about the anti-termination system, because we didn't address that the patch just got released. If you guys haven't seen the patch, I can fill you in real quick, and we could just take a second to, like, get everyone up to speed. They just reduced it from day 3 or day 2 to day 1, like day 1 night. So now the anti-termination system only lasts for like a day, which is crazy. I almost agree with that. Now I think that Grubbz did mention that before, where that it feels kind of ridiculous because it defeats the whole point of having the system in the first place. And it's like, well, you may as well just remove it at that point because you've reduced it so much that now it's like, well, what purpose is it serving? Most people will spend that time getting their builds done, or like grouping up with their teammates and trying to farm, right? Like most fights don't happen that early except for people who like build that way. I think that my main issue was just that the fights were so congested around the objectives. The objectives don't feel valuable enough to even warrant that amount of contesting. Getting ABC'd or fighting 3 other teams just for 1 tree feels ridiculous. I would rather just go out on the other side of the map and completely avoid those fights while people waste their time fighting each other and respawning the fight again. I just go and bide my own time, go and fight like some mobs and hopefully find an object or an item, or at least buy some of my golds. It feels like more consistent, more rewarding, almost more valuable to go and farm across the map and completely just ignore the objectives. And hey, if you find one, well, grats, there you go, you found one. It's like I almost feel like the objectives are almost just a big deal now. It's like, oh, another gold item. It doesn't really make that much of an impact in the grand scheme of things in most of my games in low elo. It just feels weird to be pushed so heavily towards these objectives when, like, I got to sit there and fight 3 other teams almost always, and if I'm there first, it's not rewarding anymore to take that space and feel like, oh my god, I was the first one here, we farmed up and we got here before everyone, now we have all this like area. Nah, you know why? Because the other 2 or 3 teams that always show up every single game will collapse on my team, wipe us out first, and then like a flock of seagulls start bashing heads all like just for the next 2 minutes, and I have to just either respawn somewhere else and hope that I don't just die again to some other team that's doing the same thing, or, you know, it feels weird, it feels awkward. It's almost every single game, and I see these fights last for way too long.
That's kind of like just battle royale though, right? Like that's like being able to navigate a fight like that's a skill, no? Like,
yeah.
I think like obviously you can make the play to go to the other side of the map and not fight for the objective, but I think making that decision is like a skill to make. Like if you don't have an early game comp, you have scalers. Like I don't think you can just take that away and
Right.
call it like a, I don't know, like getting third party that objective obviously feels horrible, but also not scouting the area and taking precautions, knowing that other teams are going to show up. Like we even have the radar scan for the first objective. Like I think
Right.
it's not like a coin flip whether you're going to die first at tree.
I
Right.
think also like there's more than just a gold item that you're benefiting there. Like yeah, the gold item's cool, but you also have to remember like mastery level is so important, and I feel like there's actually a heavier emphasis on it this season. Like if you're even behind like 2 levels on mastery, it can feel really bad. Like you can get gapped pretty easily, and you're not going to get that as fast as if you're fighting people. So like to say, oh well, I just know that I'm going to get gapped, so I'm just going to run to the other side of the map. It's like it sounds a little like a skill issue, which I hate to say.
No, that's
but
totally fine.
It's also like kind of low elo thinking. Like if you're in higher elo, you're going to contest it, because if you win, not only did you get the objective, but you also got like a ton of mastery level. You were able to feel out your opponents to see who was worth fighting and who wasn't. Like there's a lot of game knowledge that gets implemented into these kind of decisions.
Right.
So I personally don't mind that part of it. I don't mind fighting for an objective. I think my problem was just like the fact that you just kind of kept coming back over and over and over again. It's like, bro, if I gapped your fucking team, like I don't want you back here.
Yeah.
I beat you. You should be done.
That's fair enough. Since they reverted the system, we'll definitely see that going back to, you know, if you wipe them out, then they're dead, and you're more rewarded that way. Yeah, I mean that was the big argument, and of course, if you think it's a skill issue, if it's like just low elo thinking, do say so. Like I'm not gonna get offended if you say that, because if I'm coming at something that sounds like that, and you know that's just low elo thinking, then of course I want to know if it's that way. Like if it's a valid opinion, or if it's just my personal like take because of my own experience or lack thereof, I guess. Then of course, yeah, I want to know, you know. So,
well, and I don't mean it to be disrespectful. I mean, it's
No, of
just one
course.
of those things where it's like, and I'm not like a crazy high elo player, but like, it's one of those things where there's so much information that you can learn from a fight, especially early. Like if you don't, and if you're a new player, especially, let's say you don't know who the immortal teammates are, or like the high elo players that don't rank, or what their smurfs are, like having this opportunity to be able to feel them out without like a harsh punishment is like the best thing for new players. Like that is the only benefit of this early termination system, is that it really does benefit new players that struggle with the type of decision making. Once you start to climb up and you understand the gameplay a little bit better, I feel like that's where a lot of the frustration comes into play, because it's like Levi was saying, like once you know how to scout out an area, like then it's just annoying, because it's like, well, I beat this team, and then like another team came in and I like almost beat that team, but because they revived in, like it's just like you already knew, you took the precautions, you did everything you were supposed to, but technically you lost because you took too long, so another team came in. It's like that's what feels bad.
Okay.
That has never been a problem in the other seasons that I've played. Like, but this season it's a problem. Like taking too long to take an objective when you're fighting off 3 teams and then losing it because, you know, even though you did everything right, another team just came in. That feels like shit. That feels like hot garbage ass. It's terrible.
Then I'll come at it at a different angle, as treating it as more like trying to understand where much of the grief is coming from different areas. So I guess that's where most of the grief would come from the like the latter scene of things, or in like mid to high elo. A lot of my opinions are definitely formed from low elo, and it's not a disrespect to say that. No, absolutely. I'm glad that you guys can point it out, actually. Because I want to be able to understand the discrepancy between those two things, and understand maybe why I have my opinion versus maybe why you have yours, so that we don't take it as like, oh, this is a problem that needs fixing. If it's just a opinion or a subjective thing, then of course I want to be able to separate that from what is an actual issue. So of course you need to, like, it's obvious to point those things out, so don't feel bad.
I do think there's like 2 camps for it though. Like I think there's the concept of like you want to get that time to feel it out with your team, see how your team fights, like kind of figure out how this game's going to go based on your synergy together. And then there's the type that also like you got to lock in the second you finish your build. Like that's kind of when the game starts.
Mhm.
You know, like I think a lot of people like we're not like League. You don't get that lane phase to figure out. You don't get that like first team fight around Dragon to figure out. Like you got to be on point pretty much from the second that you spawn in.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, with like item crafting being faster, like it feels worse.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times like I'd be like, oh, I like I'm on a 3-zone build, but I couldn't find this one thing I fucking needed, and so like I got like jumped on by 3 people at the same time. It's like, bro, they're grouped up already. Don't bully me. What are you doing? So, yeah.
And that just might be like the main argument for the anti-termy system in the first place, is that it's just kind of making up for the lack of breathing room that the game doesn't have, because you basically, as Levi said, you have to lock in from the moment you spawn in, because the game starts immediately, and you have like most people will finish their build in like 20 to 30 seconds day one. So it's like they will either group up with their teams or start griefing early. Like you have to be prepared instantly, and there's no time to relax or really like think or try to see how your team plays together and get a feel for it. You don't have that. Like Levi said, you don't have the laning phase like League, or you don't have like there's that breathing room that many of the other MOBAs in the genre have, you know? So it's like, I guess the best way to make it more approachable would just be find some way to try and leverage that lack of breathing room. I don't think it needs to necessarily be the anti-termy system. I think that like the consensus I've come to, I guess, is just that for the competitive scene, or as you start to get out of that casual like new player experience and you start to get more experience towards the game, you start understanding things like that. I think that it just feels awkward. It just feels weird to have, you know. It doesn't make any sense, because it's supposed to prepare you for that, but then like having it in that area just feels super weird. It's like you're already prepared, you already learned all this stuff, you don't really need the training wheels anymore, but here they still are. So yeah, I think that I don't know what you would do to try and create a more approachable way. I think one of the opinions I've heard before from some players was that like some people want the crafting system to go back to using like greens and blues, and the excess amount of items we have is like a bad thing. I thought that was awkward too, but I'm like, well, like that there might be some merit to some of that, right? Go ahead, Steeler. Did you want to add something?
Because back in the day, it was literally just like if I'm quicker, it was like basically you had to rush your builds, and you would get, even like now, like like it's quicker and you can get to farming quicker and do all this stuff quicker, but it was a lot like harder for like newer players to kind of get into like the flow in the game, because there's so much shit to memorize. Like back in the day, like from the food recipes to like everything else, and like flexing your builds and things like that. It's like then you get to inventory management if you're making this, that, and the third, and it takes a lot longer. I think the speed we have now is fine. You know, most people aren't doing like one zoners anymore. I think when things were one zoners was when it kind of was a problem, and I could see if people were saying that when it came to the like one zoner builds, like when we had that beach one zone. What was that, like last season or the season before that?
I think that was last season, hun.
Yeah, thank you. Time
Sorry.
is
Just trying to help.
No, you did help. I wasn't saying it wasn't help. I was a genuine like thank you. But like back in solos was pretty awful, like when you're like learning the game, because once you reach like, a certain point, you know, having like all like the different like tiers and all these different items to play and like to make, isn't that like detrimental at a higher level? But it's so much more detrimental at a low level, like compared to a high level. So it just makes like the difference between like an immortal player and like even just like a like plat player, we're just like so much more. It was harder, you know. It was like you could obviously tell And like now it's like a little like right off the bat, like from the builds, it's not like you can tell, you can tell like a new player and like an immortal, but it was like such a big like discrepancy that it wasn't like fun or fair to anyone, to be honest.
I think the main thing I'm trying to figure out are maybe some ideas on how we can try to supplement that lack of breathing room that a lot of, or like the non-approachability, because I think that, yeah, the game definitely should stick to its competitive roots. I think that it is mainly a competitive game, and going a casual route would be damaging to the long-term health of the game. I think that you guys are definitely right about most of the things you said. My question now, I guess, would be, maybe is there something we can do to try and remedy that? Because as much as you are right that the game is sustainable, it's definitely not dead. We're in a good spot. We're in the green. All these issues are things that are more so just long-term stuff that we don't really need to address right now, or like most of these problems have been fixed, or maybe it's just from my own personal experience and they might just be more suggestive. Is there something we can possibly do to try and make it more approachable to the new players? Because I think that despite the season doing better and most of the things just across the board being better, I think that the game still is very unapproachable to a lot of new players.
Like what parts?
Just the fact that there are so many things to memorize, so many things to learn, so many nuances and unique things to this game, like the crafting system. And a lot of like the objective gameplay, the macro and micro, are very different from various other games. This game is incredibly hard to get into. I mean, you are thrown into it immediately. Like, you don't have any breathing room to try and figure things out, like how your team is playing or what characters do, or like metas. You don't have any time for that. Like, you are so focused on macro play that like it's hard to try and build that experience over time. And I've played a lot of competitive games, and respectfully, I have to say this is one of the hardest ones I've ever played. Respectfully.
Good.
Like, it is
Good.
incredible.
I don't want normies in my fucking game, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I am glad this game is fucking hard, dude. Like, that's the whole reason why I play it.
And it should say that way, yeah.
Content for new players.
Yes, because I want them to learn the game properly, not change the game for what it is. This game is beautiful for what it is. I don't want to make it more casual. I want people to come into the game, and I've also said in my videos, hey, if you're a League player and you think that League is hard, don't fucking even try this game. Move on and play something else, because it's not going to be the game for you. Like,
absolutely.
This is a game that is dedicated to people that, like, want to get better at MOBAs, that want to get better in their 1v1 mechanics, that want to be fucking goated. That is what this game is for. Like, you can't make this game more casual, because if you do that, you're gonna lose the only player base you have. And that's just, like, the truth. It just really is. Like, if even people talking about, like, oh, you know, they made it so that you could, like, buy items from kiosks. I remember reading about that backlash from that. Like, people were upset about that. Some people liked it, and obviously it's been really helpful for, like, most people to keep in the game and to keep tempo. But, like, there were tons of people that, like, were on Reddit that were just, like, there's a guy named Angry Pickles on Reddit that, like, all he does is fucking bitch mode about how the game is just been... Yes, you know who I'm talking about.
Angry Pickles is one of my OGs.
Yeah, so, like, but that man, like, beats his fucking chest, like, every fucking day about how this game is ruined and how it's been made for fucking normies, and it's like, I can't even fucking deny it because they keep dumbing things down, and I don't want to see that happen, and I think there's a lot of people that don't want to see that happen. And I know that's bold words coming from me. Like, I haven't been in the community very long, but, like, I can say that I make content for this game because I adore this game, and I make content for new players because I want to see this community thrive. But, like, I think changing it is, like, not gonna do anything to help it. I think that, like, really it's just, like, maybe us as content creators need to do more work to help the game out, and then as they build up their money and as they, like, if they really want to see interest from the West, then, like, we should be the ones kind of, like, pumping out the numbers, I feel.
So
even though,
glad
like,
you
that's
said
not
that.
our job, but at the same time, like, hey man, we're here. Like, we'll help out in any way we can.
I'm actually, like, incredibly glad that you said that, because that segues perfectly into my next prompt. Unintentional. We didn't plan that, I promise you. I think that, yeah, like, no, I want to hear opinions like this. Absolutely. Like, if you think that a casual focus is not healthy for the game, no, tell me why. Absolutely. Disagree with me. Because I think that it might be, but I might just be completely wrong. Like if I'm totally wrong, and I think like maybe the competitive scene is much more healthy for the game, and like going back towards a competitive might actually be better, and then promoting it that way and finding that niche. Like the game is not going to blow up, but it doesn't need to. Like having 1020k to a competitive, like highly skilled, hyper caffeine addicted game, that's totally fine. Like no, there's an avenue for that. Absolutely. That's why I say like even long term, even if the game is trying to be dumbed down for the normies, like you definitely should still drift back towards being that hardcore competitive game. There absolutely is a market for that. So I could just be totally wrong, and you saying the opinions could totally shift mine. And no, and absolutely, you should speak about this stuff. I do want to hear about it, and I'm sure there's plenty of other creators that I'm gonna invite onto the cast that will probably say similar things. And I would honestly, I really want to hear more about that. Like, I think that maybe my competitive or my casual take probably mostly, no, it definitely is mostly swayed because of my personal experience, and I'm more of just a casual player. And you would reason that, okay, maybe then I'm in the wrong area, but like, you know, it might just be that I need to adapt, you know. Like I think that there definitely is some room for casual. I like, there's nothing wrong with me playing the game casually. It's just like trying to influence the game to be more casual when the majority of the audience is playing it competitively. That would be wrong. Like if I just want to make casual content, I just want to be a goofball and like not care about the ranked, no one's gonna get upset at me for doing that. Like as long as I'm not like trying to influence the game towards being more casual, people are not gonna get pissed off at me doing that. But yeah,
What does
I mean,
casual mean for you? I'm just curious, because I'm like, I think a lot of people feel like casual means they want to win more,
No.
and like I think there's the difference between like wanting to win more and feeling like you understand the game, if that makes sense.
Casual for me means not really caring about like being super good at the game. Yeah, of course I like winning, but it's not like I don't care if I lose. I just care more that I'm playing with friends and I'm just having fun. My favorite days are when I have two other people with me and we're doing a squads and we're just yapping about something completely irrelevant, or we're just having fun, or sometimes we're trying to improve, and it's like just having that balance between days like that. Like that's casual for me. Casual doesn't mean I'm winning every game or playing against people of my skill level. It just means having fun. I just don't care about the ranked. I don't care about the hyper competitive area. I engage with it sometimes, and I'll watch the esports scene. I'll support the casters, and I'll talk to people who are in it and like kind of, you know, engage with it just from the side. Like I don't see myself ever being like a pro or being a caster or anything like that. Most of my favorite content is community oriented, and what I mean by that is like playing custom games and doing dumb stuff. Just coming up with ideas for like random game modes, weird wacky stuff, or maybe like self-imposed rules in the normal mode, or playing Charlotte to claim to rank 1 on a drawing tablet. Like that was an idea I had, which is really stupid, but like you get the point, right? Like it's not to flex or be good at the game necessarily. It's just to have fun and do something stupid. Like that's kind of just like what I do. It's mostly just community oriented, just playing more for the people than the game. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I shouldn't let that affect like what I think is healthy for the game, of course. So that's why
I'm just confused at like what needs to change, because like
yeah.
I think you can already do that, right? Like all those things that you mentioned, those are all possible things you can do in the game.
Absolutely. And that's why
Are you
I'm
talking
like,
more about
ahead.
like the barrier of entry needs to be more accessible to even people that are trying to come to this game from a casual standpoint?
Right.
Is that where like your frustration comes from?
Yes, mostly because the typical Andy that comes and plays games like this, and something that I noticed with Overwatch as well, and that's where most of my history comes from. For those who don't know, I played amateur pro Overwatch console for 7 to 8 years. I was incredibly
You played
good.
on console?
Yeah, I was doing like amateur esports stuff for a long time. I was a Masters Grandmasters tank player. I was
Were
that
you a Reinhardt player?
No, I was a Zarya, but I loved playing Reinhardt
Very
sometimes.
cool.
Yeah, I played all the tanks except Wrecking Ball because he's trash. I have a history in competitive. I used to be that hardcore player. I think that I'm just very washed now after playing Overwatch and knowing where that game went. We don't talk about Overwatch. Save that for another day. I think that, yeah, like most of my gripes just come from most people who pick up this game are unfortunately the ones that see the booba skins. They see the hot female characters or the hot male characters. They see the skins. They see the loot chests. They see the game on Steam and then go, oh, that looks really good. Or they see the trailers, or they see advertisements. Most people in the West are going to look at it as from a casual point, because what you'll realize is that much of the players in the West that are finding this game are just people who have like 9-to-5 jobs. They're just people who are just picking up the game out of interest. They have no clue how competitive this game is, and they don't care about that. They're just playing it because it looks good, or they just want to play it with their friends, or they see a goofy ass purple-haired streamer playing it. Like most of the people who are playing this game or picking it up are not hardcore players who have any care in the world about the competitive scene. They might eventually, though, and that's why I make such a heavy argument for trying to maybe be more approachable to those people, because those are the people who eventually become your non-Andy hardcore caffeine chugging like veterans. Those are the people that eventually go there. Were you guys super hard committed when you picked it up? Did you know everything about the game the second you started playing? Like you
It's
did.
a different game now, I think, than when I started personally. But
the concept is very much the
answer is
same.
no, regardless.
The concept is very much the same. It's that you don't just immediately pick up the game and know how competitive it is and know all the mechanics and all this stuff, but you might be interested. So you're just playing the game initially, whether you are playing it with the mentality of being casual or not, you are a casual. You're not good at the game. You're playing mostly the normal mode and just practicing new characters. You're just trying to learn stuff. You are a casual. Everyone starts as a casual before they become a hardcore veteran. Like, most people don't start that way. So, like the one-off streamer that's been playing competitive games for 12 years, who picks up this game is immediately good at it because he's been playing MOBAs for a long time. That's 1 in a million. Like, your major audience of new players is not going to be that person.
I was gonna say,
I'd almost
that's
say
pretty
that's
crazy.
the common player.
It's hyperbole. I would actually say it's not, because most of the people that I find are the casuals, and they have no idea what this game is. They pop into Twitch to watch these streamers, and they're just trying to learn what it is. They look at it looks interesting, and they're just engaging with it because, yeah, it's a good-looking game. It's got a lot of great art, a lot of great characters, and it's a dark lore, and it's very appealing, and the gameplay loop is very fun. Like, it's interesting to look at, so people will be interested, but they don't have any idea what this game is. They don't know about all these crazy nuances. Like, they just started, and eventually one day they'll figure it out, and maybe they'll watch some Grubbz videos, maybe they'll watch some Levi videos, maybe they'll see some of my discussion content and be interested in that stuff. But like, they're just TikTok Andes. That's most people that play games nowadays in the West. The vast majority, like if you look at the top selling games in the West and you look at most people who play games and ask them why, this was the same thing I analyzed in Overwatch. Like, a lot of the competitive players, myself included, asked a lot of like the casual players or the vast player base to see why they play Overwatch or why they play League or why they play certain things. Certain games more casual than others, of course. Other games less so. So maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I'm coming at this from the assumption that this game is a lot like others, and the massive market is just typically going to be casuals. It's hard to tell though. Like, it's really hard to tell since they don't give us numbers or anything. We just have Steam charts. It's just a number. We have no idea what that person is.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we're going on that logic, right? Like, you only know what you know.
Yeah.
And I ran coaching for like a year, and then I took a year break from a Toronto return. So maybe it's changed since I've been there, but like, it's very much not uncommon for like a level 4 or 5 who had just been playing for like a week, 2 weeks at most, to like ask for coaching or like pay for coaching, like or do VOD reviews. Like, I think that's what kind of separates the Toronto return, is that like your average like bronze and silver player like treats it competitively. Like, they do their reviews, they'll like practice and practice tool. Like, I don't know, I've never played a game where the low elos did that, but
No, they definitely don't do that in League.
like, maybe
I'll
they
tell
don't
you
do
right
that
now,
more. Like,
they
again, like, I've been
definitely
gone.
don't do that in
Oh
Overwatch.
no, League is crazy. Everyone knows exactly what you're signing up for with League, and if you're a casual player on League, you're probably playing ARAM or Swift Play. Like, I play Swift Play. I don't touch ranked. Like I'm the swift play Andy that's just goofing off with friends. That's me. I'm him. I'm a living example of people that are like that. You know, but I might be the minority. So, you know, like and I played Albion Online. That's another one where it's like the hyper competitive scene is well assessed. Like everyone knows exactly what you're signing up for when you play that game, and I quit because I'm a casual and it was not made for me. Like it was just not a fun game for me because it's so non-casual friendly. And some games are just going to be like that. That's totally okay. I don't think that every game needs to have a casual player base. Absolutely not. But it still needs to be approachable. Otherwise, people aren't going to be as willing to try and learn your game. If it's super complex and overbearing right off the bat, they're most likely not going to be super interested. They might just go back to Apex or Fortnite or whatever they're playing beforehand. And yeah, Grubbz, Grubbz was going to say good.
Fucking good.
But unfortunately, that you're cutting off a lot of your potential player base by doing so. And as funny as that take
I don't want them. I don't want them. That's what you don't understand. I don't want them. I do not want them.
It would make the company a lot more money if they did.
But like the casual players are the ones that are gonna sit there and fucking cry all the time. Like
ignore them.
They did the same thing with fucking Overwatch, dude. Like in Overwatch, what did they do? Oh, they keep giving me loot boxes and keep giving me tons of extra shit. Oh, so what did they do? They took away the extra loot boxes and all the extra shit.
I know.
Suddenly you couldn't get extra shit. Like, those are the casual players that are fucking crying about things, because the problem is that the casual players are not gonna have the investment. While they have the money, and while they may be a very nice, like, sense of income, because, oh, look, Sue got a new skin with her boobs out. That's great, I think she's hot. That's fantastic. But the problem is that when you talk about things in terms of longevity, casual players come and go all the time. Like, all the time. Because if you're a casual player, you're not committed to the game in that way. You're just not. You're not going to come back next season and go, man, I climbed up to fucking, like, Diamond this season. Hopefully I can get up to, like, Diamond 1 or maybe even higher than that. Like, there's that is where the casual scene thrives differently than I think the casual scene does.
That's true.
Or, I'm sorry, that's where the competitive scene is different from the casual scene. And that's where you're going to have the longevity. Casual players are great, and they're a dime a dozen, but they're not going to stick around. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, the competitive scene is what's keeping, or the competitive players are what's keeping the game alive right now, because the casual players that joined in, like last month or last season, they're gone. They didn't like the changes. They're not going to be fucking here for it. So, no, I don't want them. I'm sorry. I'm glad if they want to stick around. If they love the game and they want to stick with it, that's what I want. I don't want just like random casual players coming in and being like, oh yeah, like I'll play fucking 3 games and spend some money. Great.
That's the tough thing, because a lot of those casuals eventually do just become the veterans. But I can't, obviously, I don't have numbers. I don't have like a statistic to show you how many of casual players on margin become veterans and aren't the yappers. Like, I obviously can't prove that. It's all based on assumptions and things that I've picked up of just being in games as an industry. Like, just things I've noticed. But it can't be used for every single game. So I know that. Like, and I could be totally wrong, but I think it's definitely worth looking into. Like, we could figure this out. Like, if they would be willing to try and look into it.
I just don't see why they would. I just don't see like what the point is for Nibble Neuron to even do that. They're already succeeding in the East doing what they're doing. So there's no reason for them to even consider like a Western casual audience, I think.
I think that a bigger audience it would just be nice. Like, no, I don't think anybody can debate that. Like, a larger audience, of course, would just be nice to have. And I'm trying to figure out ways that we could possibly do that. Would it be better for them just to advertise the game as a hardcore PvP game? Because they could do that. You could. Like, I think the biggest
with
problem
how
is
Riot's been running their fucking games into the ground, absolutely. I'll take the toxic shitters from League. Fucking give them to me.
Although we should
and then I'll fucking gap them easily, and then we can talk about it again later. Like, fuck. I don't know why we're not trying to appeal more to, like, they had that one snarky tweet that they did that I thought was super goated, and it got tons
so
of traction.
Funny.
It's like, why are we not doing this more?
Yeah.
Do that more. And I don't think that could not have costed them that much money. It's a tweet. It works though, doesn't it? It's so simple. And that's the thing that I wanted to touch on when I brought up advertising. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't really care whether they advertise casual or veteran. I don't care what they do. I think that it is totally easy to do advertisements though. Like, they're making it so hard when you don't have to have like video advertisements. You don't need to do animations. You don't need all this complex stuff. You can just have a banner ad. There are banner ads on YouTube that don't have any video associated with it. They're just there. You could do that on other platforms, and they don't cost quite as much as I don't know how much they cost, but I'm sure I could look it up. The cost is completely irrelevant. It's just that I want to focus more on the argument that they should be doing that. Why would you not want to do that? The only people who are finding your game are the ones that are finding it on Steam. Like, if you want to push for the competitive, then just fucking do it. Then just completely ignore the casual and don't do anything casual. If you want to be super competitive, then just go that route. Then completely ignore, like, what I might have to say about casual. Ignore all that. Then lean into it. Tell people that. I just want to know what they want their game to be. What is your direction? Is Nimble Neuron understanding that this is what the player base wants, so this is what they're going to lean into? Because from what they're doing, it's hard to tell what they think they need to do. Like, are they trying to just appease both audiences? Because if that's the case, then no, fuck me. Like, if I have a casual mindset and I'm trying to tell you to do more casual things, then no, I'm the person that's wrong. I'm the yapper. Ignore me. Look, tell me I'm wrong. Like, man, I think that just the biggest issue is just that there's not a sizable player base, and I think that there's definitely things they could do to change that. I think that more players obviously means more money. It almost always does, and the company means getting more money means more people to work on stuff, maybe more frequent patches, maybe better updates, maybe animations or expansions on lore. The company having more money means more things for us, doesn't it? If a game is more successful, then of course it's going to do more things to reward that success. Like, why would you not want that? Of course, I understand why you don't want the competitive or the casual players. I get it. I understand that. Nah, that's perfectly reasonable. I haven't heard that argument before. No, that makes sense. I get it. So I guess then basically just lean towards the competitive area, and go like heavily, and I mean like really, really lean into it. You can totally pitch your game that way, and people will definitely pick it up. Is it going to be super popular? No, because most of the West does not give a damn about competitive. We're like just a dime a dozen. So, but you can totally do that because your committed player base will be so committed that like you'll have that consistent player base that will just be here for every single and just cranking out games and always engaging with your competitive scene. That's perfect. That's great. No, yeah, you could do that. And it won't be like crazy numbers, but like I said before, it doesn't need to be. 10, 20, 30K is perfectly reasonable. That is a successful game. You know, I'm coming at it from like, I want to see the game do better. I think that this game deserves so much better than 10K peak. I think that this game could do so much better, and the passion that this community has for this game clearly deserves more. Honestly, it's a shame that it's not doing as well as it could, as I think it could.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that like the 24-hour peak is pretty consistently like 20K.
Yeah.
Plus.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, so where are the numbers coming from? Is that mostly Korea?
I'm looking at the Steam charts right now, and the only time, like back in January of last year, was when like we really dipped down. But past then, it's been steadily climbing.
Is it is it pulling
January.
numbers from just Korea or NA, or is it just like all the servers playing on Steam? Is it everyone on Steam? Because in that case, yikes.
So.
No, that's not good, because that means that mostly KR is like, you have to account that KR is a massive part of that population. So if you theoretically, let's say that 5K or 10K of that is just KR. What does that mean for every other server? There's a lot of servers. You're splitting a 20K across like how many servers? And much of that makes up Asia. So you're telling me that whatever's left is just NA? So no wonder it feels so bad.
Right.
Yeah, no wonder it feels so bad.
Well,
NA alone could
especially
have
bad for like SA and EU. I think.
Yeah,
I think NA
I'm
feels
saying
okay.
that I'm trying to say that NA should have 10K on its own. It shouldn't be 5K NA, 15 in Korea. It should be like steady. It should be 20K in Korea. It should be 20, 30K in US and EU. Like, why would you not want that?
I
You definitely could.
I don't know if it's like a matter of wanting it. I don't know if like I would feel a difference between like 5K and 15K. Like 5K
You definitely
players
could.
per a server.
You definitely
I will-
would.
No, that
I
is-
need to
that
step
is
away for a
very
second.
wrong.
Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
For
I'm sorry.
a very
problem.
simple reason. Right now in the high elo, you keep playing against the same people.
Yeah.
That is not okay. It should not be like that. There's no variety. You're just competing against the same people over and over again.
Yeah, as fun as it is to have people queue up norms against me and basically like pretty easily find me in norms games. Like, that's sad. I can imagine if norms is your most populated game mode, that's where most people go, and I'm playing during peak. This is peak hours, Levi. This is peak hours. I can have people in my stream queue up and very easily end up in my games. That's sad. That doesn't tell me that this game is succeeding. I don't care if it's doing great in KR. If it's not doing great in West, that's scary. If you only have 20k peak, but it's only for like 1 hour, and it's mostly because it's during like, I probably could figure this out. I'm gonna do some numbers probably after the stream and figure this out, just to back my point up a little bit more. I think that you could probably match Steam peak hours. If it tells us where the peak is, you could probably match that up and see if it's KR. You could. It's the only evidence we really have. You just have to try and see where the numbers are in correlation to where the servers are. If that's peak hours for Korea, there you go. That's your answer right there. It's mostly just KR, and that means that whatever's left for NA is very small. If I can keep finding the same people every day, that sucks. That does not tell me the game is doing great. That tells me that there's only a certain amount of people. It's just the same people playing every day. So it feels like there's a good population, but there's not. There's not. It's just the same people that are very committed. And great for those people, but like, I want more people. I want more people to play against. I want more people in ranked ladder so that I can play against actual bronze and silver players because I'm a bronze silver player. Like, it should not be so easy to smurf. Levi, I found you in my bronze silver queue.
Okay, but the game I played against you, I was silver though.
Like, I found so many other streamers so easily. Like, I just run
I just
into
don't
you.
think this issue is fixed by player number, but maybe I just don't understand it.
It-
Right?
no,
Like,
it
I
is.
think it's just matchmaking.
100%.
It is 100%.
I don't know,
Absolutely.
I would have to like have like a quantum feel of what each player base like threshold felt like,
So-
I guess. But
and
like,
this is-
I don't know.
This is kind of how it works for any game ever that's competitive. Anything. Marvel Rivals, Overwatch, Apex, Valorant, whatever you want.
Marvel Rivals
Dota,
says like
like
a billion players and you still run
Yeah.
into the same people.
yeah, but their rank feels amazing because you are playing against like their rank system spreads out even thinner. And that's the thing. So let's try to like narrow this down in a very simple example. So let's take 100 people versus 1,000 people. 100 people are playing a game, and it's like a 1v1 tournament system. Your threshold for player base in each given rank is going to be way more, like precise with more people, right? It's like a graph, and you're getting dots on a graph. Your line is going to be more exact when you have more responses, when you have more people to give you more results. The more people there are, the more you have to try and level out your rank system so that your players don't just fold into the same tier. And it's the same problem I've had in other games that are not super popular, where the first like 4 ranks will be like populated by bots and people who just like picked up the game and like are playing on different servers and shit. Like they have to just fill the matches. Like this is something that I came across with Mobile Legends. Is super popular in Asia, but like incredibly unpopular in the West. Something with that game, the first like 5 ranks are filled with bots and like people on completely different servers because they literally can't find people for the game because everyone has already folded to like the top 2 ranks. Literally everyone. So you are now, let's say, you are now, instead of having bronze and bronze, silver and silver, gold and gold, you are having bronze, silver, gold in like Mithril, and then you are having everyone else in like the top 500. It's like you're pushing every single like everyone into the same like high elo ranks because the first ones are just a grind. Why is it that I've been told by many people that ranked in like meteor or like diamond is rarely where the game starts, where ranked actually starts? Why have people told me that? What, you mean that like rank doesn't start at gold? Is that not where most of the player base should be? That's
I
where it is
think
for
the
every other game.
I think the argument for that is just based off of the fact that you can't 3-stack. So it's the comparison of when you're soloing versus when you are actually a 3-stack, because back before this season, you could 3-stack up until diamond.
Mm-hmm.
And then diamond was when you had to solo. Even further back in the day, like what was it, like 2-3 seasons ago or something?
Mm-hmm.
That diamond was when you could start getting matched with immortal players. Now it's just like meteorite
Mm-hmm.
and up, I think, that can get matched with them. But I think that was the reason people were saying it, is because you couldn't rely on your 3-stack anymore and your communication and things like that to push you up when other people might have been solo queuing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was kind of part of the argument with that. And part of the reason I also think sometimes you get in the, even at like lower elos or like norms, you get into games with some of the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, if you get eliminated and someone else gets eliminated like a minute or two later, or if you guys are queuing up at the same time, you know, the odds of you getting in the same game are going to increase no matter what
Mm-hmm.
game you're playing, whether you're even playing like Apex or League. Like if you're queuing up at the same time in the same region, you know, you're gonna get in the same game. And I think that's what also happens sometimes in ranked and in norms and things like that, and you see some of the same players.
Mm-hmm. I think in response to these takes, I want to pose a hypothetical scenario. Let's say that this 20k peak is just NA, not any of these servers. Let's just say it's NA. Let's hypothetically say that we have 20k, 10k people in NA, and much of your player base plays ranked. So you're going to have a consistent large amount of people playing your ranked game mode, which means you're going to have tons of people in every single level, because there's more people, which means you're more likely to fight other people in your skill level, which means you're more likely to you're going to balance out in the rank you're actually supposed to be in. Your margins will be a lot more spread out because of the mass amount of players. What if there was a hypothetical scenario where you could change your soloing system to only the highest ranks? Let's say it started way further, so you could squads up through the majority of your ladder. Now that might sound insane to you, but that's exactly what happens in Overwatch, a game with hundreds of thousands. And of course they can do that because that number is spread across multiple servers, but not nearly as many as this one has. So that player base is all folding into the same server on like the same ranked ladder. So they have so many people in the ladder, and that's why their rank system, they actually have publicized numbers and graphs showing exactly where the player base folds. And they actually have been balancing their system around where most players end up. They actually screwed up their system lately, like a few years ago, and where most of their player base ended up in silver and gold, now it started folding towards platinum. And it's a weird nuance that most people don't understand or really don't think about. Where is your where would you say most of your skill base in this game is? Where would you say most players end up? Where
by
do
skill
you
or by rank?
By rank? Where do you guys
By
think
rank,
most of the player
Diamond
base sits?
is where most of the player base is, or at least the last time I checked it was.
I would almost say that the player base should mostly be in silver gold. I think that it's
That's
crazy
where
to
it
me.
is, I think, in skill level, but I don't think that's actually where it is.
I think that it's insane to me to hear that most of your player base sits in the higher ranks rather than folding into low.
Yeah, this is information we can check though.
Right.
It's gold plat.
Is it?
But that's how it
Yeah.
is in a lot of other games too, if I remember correctly.
Like which
But the graph
ones?
in general.
You have any games you can think of? Not that it's like important. It's just, do you have any games you can think of?
Hold on, let me
Yeah, go
look
ahead.
up Snake.
Go ahead. I'll continue while you do that, if you want.
Just to pop in real fast, the
Mhm.
ranking system in Eternal Return is also like way more forgiving than most games that you would
That
play.
is true, actually. Very valid. I completely forgot about that. That is very true, actually. That might be a topic for another day. I'm gonna play devil's advocate a bit on another podcast, which you guys might be
I'm gonna
interested
tell
in
you right
doing.
now, there's a guy in my Discord that cries all the time, and he has every valid reason to cry about the fact that people like hit plat all the time, and they like have an abysmal win rate.
You
But
know what I
like
think
because
I'll
they just
do?
grind the game out, they can just do it.
I'm going to make an argument on another podcast. You guys might be interested in it. I want to see expanding on this because I think it's actually a very interesting topic I haven't thought of yet. I want to see if people would be would agree with the idea of reducing how forgiving the rank system is, so that people stop folding into like gold, plat, so that people typically hang out around silver or in gold where they should be. I think that
I don't really understand what this changes. Though, as if
changing, I would say
most
that
people are in silver and gold.
changing the system so that it's not so forgiving and that people can't just grind out the rank system. I'm dog shit at the game, guys, and yet I'm still climbing. Like, I understand that I mostly play in squads, but like if I'm dog shit at the game, I shouldn't be hanging out in your higher to mid elos. I shouldn't even be there. Like, it's so easy to get there just by playing the game, and I'm not
Yeah,
good at
but
the game.
you're gonna hit a wall. Like you're
Of
gonna get to the
course.
point where you get to like you're gonna get to gold, where like you can't have a squad to rely on anymore, and then you're kind of thrown to the wolves. And then it really is based off of like, okay, what can I do as a teammate to like clutch that fight,
Right.
or what call out can I make? So like, I think naturally you'll hit the wall anyways,
Mhm.
because of the way that the game is set up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's all rank systems. Eventually, you do hit a wall. I'm just trying to figure out where that wall might be and if it's in the spot where it should be.
It's
I'm
probably
wondering
in
if
gold
it's
now.
okay. Well, then yeah, then
I think it's,
then
yeah,
it's
it's
exactly where
always
it
been
should be.
gold.
Okay.
I think like even more so because like now you can't just get carried by somebody. But I
Yeah,
mean, people make smurfs all the time, so like, what does it matter?
and you can't stop people from smurfing. It's just gonna happen. It is an interesting thought. And it kind of goes off of the trying to shift the game back towards a competitive focus. And I think that you can't just do that. You need to also start advertising it as a competitive heavy game. Like the ad that you mentioned where they were targeting League. That was hilarious. I thought that was so funny, but it also was crazy to me that that's their marketing strategy. Although it does work, actually. Like it actually did. So, if that's what works, do it again. You don't have to do the same ad. You don't have to target League. Just like if the competitive nature is what's working, then keep doing it. No, like I'm coming at this just from I want the game to succeed, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to help it do so. If casual may not be that answer, then I'll just keep the casual content to norms and goofy custom games. I had a like a theory that maybe they should add like a custom game editor so that a lot of like custom game players can go in and do their own little weekly events. I wanted one to where like it was a culinary challenge where everyone's got to rush to try and make certain food items at a certain time. But like with the game's formatting, there's no way for me to control like times like zones or items or anything like that. And it would be cool to have a game editor where I can control some stuff like that. Would it be kind of hard to implement? Maybe, but like it's just something they could think about in the future. That would open the door to some really stupid events that people could do, but that kind of just helps the creators come up with stupid stuff to do. Like it just gives us something to do when ranked ladder or patch is coming out and nobody's playing. Like then at least we could go into custom games with our dumb ideas and play with our communities, right? Like that would just be cool as a community streamer to have like a game mode I could just go in.
Time. They're not gonna do that. I pushed
No.
for a sandbox mode for a little bit and I got turned down. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
it's not something that they're really interested in. But
No, and I can see why. It would be nice if
Well,
eventually
they're
they
just
could
a
do
really
that, though.
small team too. Like
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
think like they're not like the size of Blizzard. They're not the size
No.
of Riot. Like, asking
course.
for those kind of things feels kind of impossible when like they're trying to, because you got to think like the other big thing that's different is that like our seasons are not very long.
Mm-hmm.
League has like a whole year for you to like have these implementations not only introduced but
Mhm.
also adjusted to. We have 3 months.
I'm just interested in the idea to see, is it maybe possible where we can get or help the developers or see that the game to get to a spot where they do have that kind of money to spend on goofy stuff like that isn't just
buy
mutually
the season
beneficial.
passes.
Yeah, I was gonna say they've said that. They said buy some skins, buy the season passes. They've only told us that before. Like shamefully.
You just need more
I think it's
people to
fine.
pay for it, which means you need more players with money to buy them. So it all comes down, like every single problem almost always comes down to just having more players. It almost always does. More players means more money. It means more engagement in your rank ladder, which means more people playing rank ladder, which means rank ladder just feels better. Or you won't have to have specific peak hours because peak hours is all the time because you always have consistent players. It's like, it just, you know what I mean? Like you'll have peak hours where your game will queue instantly. Like insta queues would be amazing. Will that ever happen for ranked? No, it never should. But Norm's insta queue would be fantastic. I don't see why I can't just queue Norms all the time. Like there are times where I'm shifting back and forth between ranked and Norms because I can't just get a goddamn game in either one. It's like I'll see maybe like 12, 14 people queuing ranked and I'm like, okay, well this is probably gonna be like the next 5 minutes. So let's go over to the Norms and see what they're doing. Oh, 21 insta queue, perfect. And then I get back out of Norms and there's like 3, 4 people. I don't want to sit there. So where do I go? Ranked. I just shift back and forth to try and get games faster because I hate sitting there for 5 minutes every single game. It's crazy to me that that's acceptable.
I was gonna say that's definitely like person to person. Well, like if 5 minutes is a lot for you, then yeah, obviously this feels hard. When I was talking
Sometimes
about
it's worse.
kind of that topic for like how long would you wait for a game if it meant like a good quality game, like people were saying like 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh
Yeah.
no, you guys are crazy. I could watch like a movie I could watch a short movie in that amount of time. That's insane.
Some people do in their queues.
And I was gonna say,
Definitely.
if you're high elo, you have no option but to sit in those queues, and that doesn't matter what game you're playing. When you start to get to like the top of the top of the top, like you're gonna be waiting a long time no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you tuned into like a Dyrus stream or something like that, and
But,
he's like,
like,
"Oh, I'm playing this fucking Maple story in the
why would
background
you
because-"
not want people to be able to queue faster? Why would you not want that? If it's possible, this is a big, like I'm saying if it's possible for your game to do better and there are obvious things that you could do to get there to make it so that you don't have to queue that long, why would you not want that?
I don't think anybody is like saying that they don't want more players. I think everybody
Right.
here is very pro, like, yeah, more players would be great. I think the problem comes into the idea of, okay, so if the issue is that we don't have enough players, how do we bring more players in without changing the integrity of what the game is?
Right. And
Like,
that's
the real issue. Appealing to casual players is cool and it's an option, but it's not going to, like, you're going to be pissing somebody off. Like, there's going to be a shit sandwich no matter how you slice the cake. So, like, there's not like this is a multifaceted issue and there's like no one clear solution to it.
absolutely.
Because there's so many variables in play.
And I think that, yeah, absolutely, you're 100% right. And that's why I totally understand that. And that's why I'll pose my casual idea. It's more of an idea. It's not a definitive me saying that, like, this is the end all be all to the problems. It's me saying, this is my idea for how we might be able to fix it. What maybe could, like, is there some reason I should be wrong? That's why I ask these kinds of questions and why I pose these ideas to other people who have been playing longer, because you will have a completely different perspective and it could help me maybe understand better, like, maybe why, like, some of these maybe not even be issues. I've realized a lot of my perspective is just because I'm low skill, like, skill issue Andy that just picked up the game 2 months ago. Like,
No, but even if you're like low elo or new to the game, it still shouldn't be miserable.
of course. Yeah, exactly. And it, like, right now it has been. And for everyone I've talked to who is exactly in the same place I am, it is fucking miserable. It is. And of course, we want to see some way for the game to be less miserable. And coming up with some ideas for how to do so would be fantastic. Like,
I
I'm
think
open to
also
everything.
the last 2 seasons were really rough.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like because there were just a lot of big adjustments, so like everybody was trying to learn at the same time. It wasn't just like new players. I think that like yeah, it's hard to get into this game. Like especially if you didn't come from a MOBA background, I can only imagine like how hard it would be to pick up on all the nuances. I think honestly, if they were smart, they would start appealing to like the older MOBA players that have moved on from shit like Smite and League and like that kind of stuff. I feel like that's where they should really be trying to pull people in, because like the reason why I came to this game is because I was tired of League and I wanted something that still had that competitive element, but I didn't want to, like, I did 12 years of League. Like I was done with it at that point. So I needed something to fill the void, and this was it. So I think that there is like, especially like I looked into SuperVive because I remember back when it was Project Loki, I looked at the concept art, like before they even had like alpha tests available. I was so excited because I was like, finally, we have a contender to League that's not a fucking mobile game. And then it came out to be like nothing like that, and I was so disappointed that I was like, fuck, like now I'm on the hunt again for another game. Whereas like this game kind of fills that niche that I think that if they were to advertise to like the old heads of League that like have moved on from League, that want to still have atmosphere, because that's pretty much what most of the player base is, I think that they would find more success there than I think trying to make it more casual, because I don't think they're ever going to, by the nature of what Eternal Return is, I don't know if they'd ever be able to really pull in a casual crowd.
And you might be right about that.
That's just like my opinion on that. Like, and I may be totally fucking wrong, and that's okay. I have no problem with being wrong.
Right.
But like, I just don't see this game ever becoming like a truly casual game.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't want it to become a truly casual game. I just want there to be an accessibility option for those people who are just playing casually. There should always be an area, like players should feel free to be casual and shouldn't be punished for being, like, it shouldn't feel like you're getting punished for being a casual. It shouldn't. Like you're gonna have a very, very small player base that only plays norms, that is just like your typical Andy. And I think that it's okay to have those players because, yeah, like you might think that they won't stay here very long, but they've got money. They will pay for those skins, and the skins and the battle passes are what people like keep playing for. I have
in
many,
terms of
many
being
people...
successful, being casual, like, what do you mean exactly by that? Because like you've kind of thrown a few different ideas out, and I'm just trying to like nail it down. When you say I want this like player that is casual to be successful, like what would determine that success? Like being able to place highly consistently, like just be able to enjoy the game and like the mechanics. Like what part of it is not successful in your eyes? Is it like very elementary?
The lack of success just comes from being able to play with other people among my skill level. If I'm playing norms, I don't want to be playing against top tier immortal level players every single game. I don't want to be playing against diamond plus players. I'm a fucking iron bronze player. Every single norms game feels bad because I had skill issue. That's all it is. And is it okay for, is it not a decent argument to say that it should be okay for players to log in to norms and be able to play amongst players of their skill level? If it's possible to do that, shouldn't we?
To be fair, I've only seen you in one game, and that's because I was on my Smurf account that is in your elo.
I don't even think I saw you. I think I saw you once. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, fair enough. But you and like everyone else who is in high elo, I come across these players all the time. I find so many other content creators that are in like immortal or diamond plus, and they just completely shit on me. Like it's a skill diff. It is. And that's okay if it's in ranked, but why should that be every single game in norms? There's like, it feels like in norms there's no balancing.
I'm in the opposite spectrum where like in most games, you would never have the privilege or the opportunity to play against like the top % of players. And when you start to run against that, I personally find it really exciting because then it's like, oh, this is the level that I should be playing at. Like, this is what I should be aspiring towards. I played against Gigadick the other day, which if you don't know who that is, like they're
what the
really...
fuck?
W name.
What a name.
That's my Cobalt goat.
Yeah, so he's like a really big Cobalt player. That man, he used his movement ability first as Adriana, and then I moved forward as Aya. That man blinked to make sure that he got the speed gate. I was like, bro, that min-maxing is respectable. But it's like, that's the type of shit that people think about in higher elo lobbies that, like, as a normie, I would never think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's that type of shit where it's like, oh, it makes you think, like, this is how you should approach these situations. This is how you should, like, improve your gameplay.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm different in that way because, like, I'm always trying to improve. Like, I'm one of those people that, like, I watch my VODs and I, like, constantly ask people, like, hey, where was the mistake and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I know I'm kind of on the outside there, but I feel like more and more of the player base kind of leans towards that direction.
Okay.
So, like, I personally feel like, wow, if I was playing League, when would I ever get to play against, like, Tyler 1 or, like, Dyrus or, like,
You never
somebody like
would.
that? You would never do
You
that.
never.
Like, the community's too fucking big. But, like, with Eternal Return, like, you get the privilege of that. Like, you get the privilege of being like, wow, I just saw Superior in a game, and it was like, maybe I gapped him in a fight when I, like, and that's, like, a huge, like, confidence boost, right? I've never gapped Superior, so please do not think that I have. But, like, it's one of those things that it's like, it's so interesting to hear some people be like, oh, they just bully me. And I'm like, no, man, like, that's great. Bully me. Like, I want to learn every game. I want Poon Poon to come after me every game and to make me terrified. Like, put the fear of God into me so that, like, it keeps me humble and it keeps me hungry to, like, want to improve.
I think that it's definitely fun. Like, the engagement of running into some streamer or some high level player and then getting completely, like, your shit rocked by him is a very entertaining experience, and I have had it myself. I've run into a lot of, like, high elo players where I've won against them, and it feels fucking amazing. It like, I'm a terrible player, and yet I still beat this person. Like, I know, I totally get that sentiment. But at the same time, if it's happening every single game, it's not novel anymore. Like, then it's just a common experience. It's just something I get every single game. It's not exciting if it's like the normal. You know what I mean? It's not fun if that's just the typical experience everyone gets. If I'm only ever fighting high level players, then, you know, whatever. Like, I
think both
don't
camps can
understand.
exist on this. Like, I don't think this is a thing that has to go one way or the other.
Yeah. It's
There's
bound to
definitely people like
happen.
Grubbz who, like, want that experience, and I'm sure there's people who just want to play the game and not have to try.
Yeah.
Like,
And there's not, you don't necessarily need to change anything about the game to have that. Like, you don't. You just need more players. That's all you need. Like, naturally, you're just going to have people like myself who just found the game. Most of the people who watch me, most of my community are exactly like me, actually. Crazy. A streamer has an echo chamber. That's wild. Unheard of. Anyway, most of them are actually casual players who don't really look at coaching, who don't really look to like become necessarily good at the game. They just play it because it's fun and they just like the characters, or they just like the sense of community I give them. There are people that do that. Like, my community is a living example of that. I'm just some new player that came in 2.5 months ago, and yet everyone who's followed me or watched me is basically just some, like, typical Andy who's in, like, low to mid elo and is just mostly just playing this goofy streamer, like, just having fun, just playing with friends. They don't care about, like, necessarily being good at the game. Yeah, it's exciting to be good, but, like, not everyone really cares about that. And some people are, like, sweaty, but they're just bad at the game. Like, that's, sometimes I'm sweaty, sometimes I'm locking in, but I'm just terrible at the game. Like, I don't know. I don't think this is necessarily any reason, like, you need to change the game or mechanics at all. I think that is just a matter of, like, just bring in more players. Honestly, I think the consensus of my opinion is just that I don't really care how you do it. I just want to know, like, get in a game plan, get an idea, find a game plan and a strategy, and then stick with it. Be consistent. There's no consistency at all between seasons. What I've seen, and everything I've witnessed, there's, like, no consistency. Find your balance. Find what you're trying to do, and then just stick with it and lean into it as hard as possible. If you guys are super hyper competitive and your majority audience is not like what I think it is, and it's, like, mostly people trying to coach, and, like, there's a huge margin of engagement as far as competitive goes, then, like, prove it to me. Show me that. Like, go advertise to those people, and then show me the influx of numbers when it happens. If you're right, then you'll see results. If you're not, then you won't. Like, that's all it is. You're, like, Nimble Neuron needs to be willing to fail in that regard. You need to be willing to try things and go, okay, well, this didn't work. Figure out why it didn't. If your advertisements don't work because you're trying to advertise to a competitive market, Or maybe you send out like ones that are purely casual oriented, like you're showing skins and things, or it's a pop musical or K-pop, whatever. Like if it's purely casual, those are casual advertisements, guys. That's not competitive. That shows you nothing about what the game actually is. That is nothing competitive related. It is purely casual. You are showing off skins and dancers and music and animations. That is not competitive. That is a casual oriented ad.
like a casual, like, what was it? Live to die, die to live? Is that what
Yes.
it was?
I'm not
Yes.
Kill to Live.
Yeah,
All-
there
We
you go.
don't
Kill
talk
to
about
live.
Kill to Live.
All of
I
like
was gonna say, but like that was a pretty like normie kind of advertisement. I mean,
Yeah.
it was strange. But,
most
like,
of them
bad.
are. Almost
they
all
also
of them.
hit it because it was shameful.
Mhm.
Like,
Oh yeah, actually, just for the sake of argument, did you guys know that the only reason I know about these advertisements and have seen any of them at all is because my community literally dug it up. I don't even know where you guys found it. Like if those of you are here who were the ones that helped me find that during my iceberg stream, if you guys can find those for me and link it in my Discord, please do, because I'll use it on another podcast and show them like what I'm talking about, because I don't even know where those went. Like they were linked in my Twitch, so I have no idea like where
Daddy
they went.
Nimble
But
Neuron is so excited for you to show those so that they can shut it down.
They-
They're like, scrub that shit.
they
Scrub it."
hid those so deep because they were so ashamed of their advertising, and yet you guys want to use that as an example for why their advertisements failed in the West. They didn't fail because you were advertising to the wrong market. They failed because your advertisements fucking suck. They were bad. They were bad advertisements. It's not because you can't, it's because you sucked at it. Like, that's just the truth. I'm sorry, it is. Your ads were stupid. You paid
But I mean, like,
XQC
that
to
one
play
was
your
like a
game,
Reddit
and then he
ad,
just sat
so
there and
it's just
shit
like
on
a-
it.
But playing the creators to play games, I think, is a different conversation. Plus, that was like pre-alpha that he did that.
Like, yeah, I understand. It's just, like, you know what I'm coming from. It just looks stupid as someone who's coming into this game, and I'm like, okay, well, what kind of advertisement, what kind of PR does this game have? I want to know, like, what's the representation of this game? How does it present? Oh, I just get ad after ad. Oh, not only are they bad, you guys are hiding them? Like, you literally, I had to dig them up to find them? That's crazy. That's
You guys-
crazy.
I'm surprised you haven't tried to find the actors that were in that fucking ad. And, like,
That's
interview them.
ridiculous. You're
imagine?
telling me that's
That'd be quality
successful?
content.
You're telling me that's sustainable? It's fucking hilarious. It's a meme now, but like what? Are you kidding me? That's what you want as an example for your game? Really? No, you could do
it
so
kinda
much
fits
better.
with like the time of like what advertisements were during that time, though. I think.
I would
'Cause I
disagree.
think a lot of games were like kind of doing meme ads like that.
No, but like that's if you want competitive hardcore players, meme ads aren't gonna get competitive hardcore players. Memes are for typical TikTok Andes, my friends.
Well,
That
that's what
is-
I was saying. Is that like I think that was like their attempt to try to like reach out to the casual crowd
It,
during that time.
good, I guess good like steps, but like total flop of an attempt. Like they had the right thing in mind then. That's what they were doing. They had it in mind. They just didn't do it well. Oh my god, it's crazy. No, I think that like if they wanted to advertise this game, then you definitely need to focus on the fact that it is a hardcore competitive game. You are going to come into this game with a mindset of getting better, playing against top players and trying to sweat super hardcore. If it's a sweat game, then tell me it's a sweat game. And that's what I mean. Your game needs to present on the advertisement audience that you are trying to go for. Otherwise, you're going to get a mix of players that just want different things, and you're going to get those yappers.
Are there any games that actually do that, that have their advertising catered towards
Yes.
like a more... What games do that?
Albion
I
Online
don't really
is
get ads, so like...
Albion Online is a perfect like hardcore example of exactly what I can. Well, like I'll have to present that one to you guys if you want. I'll send like links to their advertisements. Deliberately from like the get-go, Albion Online is a hardcore sandbox MMORPG. That is word for word from their advertisements. Word for word. I didn't like make that up. That's exactly how they present their game. They literally tell you 10 seconds in exactly what the game is. Then when you go to their download site, it's plastered all over. Like when I say aggressive and lean into it, I literally mean be aggressive, lean into it. If your game is a hardcore game, treat it exactly like a hardcore game. Plaster that on your download page. put that in every single advertisement. Show people this is a game where you go in and you're going to try and learn and be better than like all these typical Andes. You're not here to yap. You're here to sweat and try to diff Superior or diff Grubbz again, because it's just like.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Anybody can diff Grubbz. Just want to let you know.
Okay, that's actually cap. But
I did that
What's-
all the time.
like, are we using Albion Online as like a good example? Because I'm pretty sure they're smaller than Eternal Return.
No, absolutely not. They have millions of player base. Their concurrent peak is on just Steam alone. They have a online launcher alone, and their Steam just by itself is bigger, not accounting for their other launchers. Albion
Looking
is
at the wrong
fucking
game, though, 'cause
massive.
Their Steam charts are way smaller than Eternal Return.
Yeah,
is
they're
it?
like almost half
Only
of our numbers.
8K. Like,
Let's see,
Yeah.
is it? Oh, Albion, what's happening? When I was playing, it was much bigger than that.
It went from 300 to 5K, my guy.
Yikes. Well, I haven't played that in a while. I need to like update my evidence. But it also
The
stands to
highest player
reason.
count they had was 12K.
It also
sorry,
stands to reason
14K.
that they launched, I think, on mobile first, and then they moved over to PC, and much of their player base is on launcher. So it's hard to. I wonder. I'm gonna look it up real quick. I wonder if they actually have their player base from launcher. I wonder if they track that. They probably do.
I mean, you could probably make like the same argument for Eternal Return then, because it's had like its own.
Does
kind
it
of
also
weird
have
history.
launcher, or is it just on Steam?
No, I was gonna say like when it comes to it started on mobile. It's like Eternal Return was originally a mobile game, as you know, right? You had
Mhm.
Immortal Soul, Black Survival, whatever, and then it went to solos, and then from solos it went to duos, and then from duos it went to squads. So it's like Eternal Return has had its own kind of crazy history too. So like it makes sense that like honestly it should get praise for the fact that we're able to grow our numbers after having such kind of like a rough start in regards to like what the game was trying to be, whereas with Albion, like it knew what it wanted to be from the get-go. Eternal
Yeah.
Return had kind of an idea of what it wanted to be, and then it just they just kept adjusting to like try to appeal to what they thought people wanted. So
Albion's
Right.
thing across their launcher says that 3 days ago.
Athena!
So it's like roughly the same size.
Oh my god, Athena, what happened? How did the scrims
Eternal
go?
actually did, I believe, when they
Did you
were
win?
partnered with Cacao, had their own launcher, if I
Mhm.
recall correctly from what people were saying. I wouldn't quote myself on that. This is just secondhand because obviously I'm not
Okay.
from Korea. But
Yeah,
they
had
did
one.
have their own launcher for a while, but I don't necessarily agree with marketing towards
Damn, you got second?
one demographic or another, because that just isolates you, because then it takes out all the people that want to play, let's say, like casually. If it's marketed as a competitive game, they won't touch it, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like the thing that happened to Heroes of the Storm when they got rid of the professional like team, their whole like competitive side.
hmm
A lot of people just stopped like a lot of people stopped playing, and its player base really took like a big tank, because they felt like there was nothing competitive left.
The
I don't
major
think it would be good for
the major point is that it is important for any product, not just games, but as marketing in a general. It is a generally positive thing to understand exactly what your audience what is your audience. You need to know what you're marketing towards in order for you to succeed. It is directly proportionate to success. Like, yeah, I understand that gaming is a completely different media from something of like a normal product or an item you're trying to sell. It is not the same thing. I understand. But you also, it absolutely is 100% important to understand what your audience wants, not just for marketing, but also to understand like how to change your game. The direction of your game and the marketing strategies you use are directly correlated to whatever you think your audience is. If it's a hardcore audience, then you're going to balance your game and focus on balance patches, character releases, like game state, right? Just general things that appeal mostly to competitive players. And you're not going to pay as much attention as events or like skins or things that don't really benefit the competitive scene at all. Those are just kind of things that you get along with it, right? That's just kind of a bonus. Like, yeah, you guys enjoy skins, but you don't play the game because of skins. You play it because the competitive scene. You play it because of that hype, the rank ladder, getting good at a specific character, all that stuff. Skins are just a bonus. If you happen to like one, you might buy it. Like, you know, I was tempted to get the Katya one, but you get the point. Like, you have to know what your audience is, and in advertising to a specific audience is going to cut out a lot of other people. Yes, it is. But guess what? Your game is already doing that. Your player base of casual players are already leaving because they're not consistent, because they don't play this game for the reasons you play it. They don't understand why, and they're just going to go find a different game that fits their needs. You're not going to outlaw most of your players by doing that, because you're already doing it just because of how the game is. So you want to try to appeal more to those people, because like, it just doesn't make sense to try and advertise towards everyone. Like, what do you mean? You're just going to have a mix of populace that want the game for different reasons, and then those people are just going to leave regardless of if your advertisement was successful in the first place, because they're going to find, oh my god, this game is just a hardcore sweat game. Oh, well, guess I'll just find something else, because I don't got the time for that. You already have those people, and you're not even advertising. Like, they're not even advertising. They already have those people. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, well, then you may as well just focus on the people who do stay. If people are leaving for various reasons, that tells you exactly all you need to know. The information is right there in front of you. But then those people aren't going to play this game. And it's a waste of money to try and appeal to them. It is. And trying to balance the game towards them also outlaws the consistent player base you do have. So, and that's the thing, is if you fall into the rabbit hole of trying to advertise towards both casual and competitive, you're going to piss off people from both sides instead of just heavily appealing to one. A niche is always good. It's the main reason why I've found any like remote success on streaming. Why? Because I have such a hardcore niche when it comes to community, where I play games more for that, and I tell people exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm a community streamer. It is just a marketing strategy. It just applies to everything. Like, it's just 101. And I'm no genius, but like, it's just what I've seen.
Market is people that play video games. You know, like I played Overwatch not competitively, just for fun. You played competitively. Why can't the two coexist? They can. And that's why, like, again, Marvel Rivals is doing so well, because you can play it both competitive and you can play it casually. If you focus on one and not the other, like, that's where you're gonna start failing, because, you know, people are always going to move on.
Right.
And, you know, if you're just focusing on, because it's like different from like selling, because even like selling, you know, a product, it's like, you know, if I have like a bracelet, you know, like a bracelet catered towards females, I'm going to direct my marketing towards females, not specific females. I'm just going to direct it towards females in general. So I don't think, in like the grand scheme of things, like marketing, even like a video game in like terms of marketing, isn't going to be much different. You're just going to have different approaches. You have to learn what exactly like that demographic, you know, like gamers like, because it is like their own society.
Right.
You know, same with like sports. Like, you kind of market gaming kind of like you would market like sports or a product.
No, it's exactly the same. Yeah. I mean, it's just the same thing. And yeah, I mean, I don't say that they shouldn't advertise in different ways. Like, of course, you should have a mix. Like, don't just go 100% one way or the other. Absolutely not, no. But you need to understand what your priority is. And that's the thing that I'm trying to make clear, is that Nimble Neuron doesn't even have a priority. They don't advertise at all. Like, I just am asking for the baseline. Like, if they were constantly advertising, then the conversation wouldn't even exist, or it would be completely different. depending on like the amount of success that they had or the types of advertisement they're doing. We don't even have examples. That's the sad part. And that's why I'm talking about it, because it scares me that like you don't even have like, you don't do banner ads, you don't do anything. You do Twitter posts every now and then, but it's like you're mostly just appealing to the people who already know about your game. It's like that's not going to bring new people in. It might bring some, but like, you know, you can do cost-effective ads that just promote your game exactly how you want it to be seen. What do you want people to think when they see your game? Why do they play your game? What do you think that people pick it up for? Then if you figure that thing out, you can try to target that thing. That's just how marketing works. You need to understand why people use a certain thing and then appeal to those people, because they are the ones that trust you. They are the long-term users. That is your core audience. If you're not even appealing to them, then you're not going to appeal to anyone. Like, then you're not even advertising to anyone, and it's just like you have no eyes on anything. Like, people just find you on Steam page. That doesn't tell them anything. It's just sad that like they're not even trying, and that's the thing that scares me. They're using bad advertisement as an example for, oh well, then maybe we should just not do it at all because it's not worth it. They've given up on NA players from past experience, hence no advertise. Yeah, no, Chad is right. They just given up because of examples that aren't valuable. That mean literally they're nothing examples. They even covered it up. Like they may as well have never even done them at that point, because they completely hide them. They may as well not even exist. That sucks. That it feels like Nimble Neuron's just completely given up. Like, have they not?
They've mentioned they want to get back into marketing and in like North America and the US in the future, but you know, I do think that they are holding off because, you know, one, they need to reevaluate their strategies in marketing, and two, it like they even admitted it's expensive.
Yeah, no, it is.
Like marketing, you know, and anything, because you have to have people to make the marketing, then you have to pay the platforms, and
Absolutely.
there's a lot of shit that goes into it. So, you know, I think they're kind of slowly weaning into it with like the Twitter posts, with all of this, to kind of start getting a little bit of like recognition in a market they're not currently in, to kind of create like a brand name that you'll at least recognize like subtly.
And that's all I need to know from them. Honestly, if Nimble Neuron could just be transparent, I wouldn't have these concerns. And I think that it boils down to that. And I think that
But they were. But they were.
They
If they weren't transparent, they wouldn't have told us in the dev stream what everybody was crying about. Like, as everybody was like, brother, why are we not advertising in the West? Wendy came out and said it very plainly. Guys, we've tried advertising in the West. Right now, it's just a little too expensive, and we've kind of found that it doesn't change the numbers too much, so we're going to hold off on doing it for now. It's like, thank you. That is a perfectly good explanation. It's very transparent. They didn't say anything about like, oh, well, we're not even going to try, or like we're shutting down any servers.
Expense is perfectly viable, but using your past advertisements as an example of current success is not gonna, like, it's not viable, since you don't even want to show those to people. You don't even want people to see them. Like, why would you even use that?
They've tried different methods of advertising, right? Like they've done the whole like, okay, the kill to live, like they did that, and we don't talk about it, but they did it. But they've also like tried talking to like different streamers and getting them involved. I mean, like Cacao Games, I think did quite. This was a little before my time, because like right when I joined in, like Cacao kind of left. But like I'm pretty sure Cacao did like a whole bunch of stuff with streamers and like got like, who was it?
That
Genji.
was also kind of a problem, because I'm pretty sure the first time they did that, they just kind of threw them in the game and was not a very good experience. But then they noticed that problem and like set up some people to coach them, and then they make like I think like a tournament with them. I think Vienna was playing in there and some other big streamers. I think that's a good advertisement like idea. But probably it's gonna like seem a little bit bad for some people. I had a friend that was really against it, but it works. It's advertising the game kind of like it should, with people that are getting the idea of how it works or that already know how it works. Because you cannot just jump in the game without anything, and that all is also a problem of the like new players that arrive to the game because of the way the tutorial is made. I know they have redone that tutorial over and over again, and they added the thingy that you can read everything about the game to like kind of teach you. But to be honest, not a lot of people are gonna read that. Most
Mm-hmm.
people that play video games just want to play video games and do not have the time or the patience to read. So that's also something that you can like incentivize in the advertisements, showing, okay, this game is hard, but you can get there. And there's also another thing that I wanted to say. There's another kind of advertisement that also works, and I know it works because it worked. Um, I live in Mexico. I'm not from US or Canada, or I'm obviously not from Asia, so I don't really know a lot of the stuff there. But for example, here, League of Legends is very popular for two reasons. One, the characters, because as portrayed in one of the uh, season presentations about the skins that are gonna be
That's good, Psycho.
uh, a lot of my friends DM me and ask me to play only because they saw this in one of the videos they made and immediately were like, yeah, I'm gonna play this again. It works, sure. It's not. I send it in the server. It's not the most like, I don't know how to explain it. Ethical, I guess.
Yeah.
But it works because there's a lot of people that as soon as they see those two big reasons, they
We're
are
doing a
gonna play.
podcast.
And most likely, from that point on, they're gonna get like addicted to the game at some point,
Yeah.
because that's how all of the MOBAs work. You just get addicted to it and you keep playing. If you don't get to that phase, you're not gonna stay.
Yeah.
And that is the problem with the casual players, that they don't get to that point. And when you try to get into that scene, you start playing in ranks, and suddenly you find someone that completely destroys all of the lobby single-handedly. It feels wrong. That is the problem that I feel that has in that we have in ranks, and the reason why I think we need more players. We need more bad players so they can grow and become the good players.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because if you have low elo players finding those high elo players like you guys, they're gonna get depressed. They're not gonna have the same interaction that you guys have when you see someone that's better, because they don't even get to that point, get that emotion. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle of this, because I know you two, Grubbz and Levi, are very good at it. I also know still. Sorry, I need water.
It's fine.
I've also seen SteelerGirl, but for example, Killist and Shelly, I know they're casual. They don't really aim to like get the highest rank or beat the highest, the best player in the server or something like that. They just play because they have fun in the
Yeah,
game.
Psycho, have fun.
And having fun in the game doesn't only mean like being good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes with it because yes, the game is very competitive. It is so much harder than League of Legends. It doesn't even compare, especially because it's not even really the same kind of game. It's, I think, more like a battle royale with MOBA controls, which is also a big thing that confuses a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about here in Mexico. It is very easy to convince people here to play something because you just need to get them attached to something. For example,
Yeah.
I didn't get attached to the game because of how the playstyle is. I didn't get attached to it because of, I don't know, the community or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I got attached to it because of the story. I
Yeah.
like the story. I think it's an amazing story. And sure, I don't think at all that Nimble Nero has the money to make Arcane, but League of, I mean,
That would be amazing though
Eternal.
if they could.
It would be amazing because it's such a rich story
Yeah.
and very interesting to read. I said before, most people don't want to read a lot of stuff to learn how to play the game, but a lot of people like to read stuff that is actually good to
Mm-hmm.
read. And for example, in my classroom, I even convinced people to play just because I was talking about the story of the game.
Yeah.
They have never touched a MOBA in their life but one, and he keeps playing to this day because one, the game is just, in my opinion, better than League of Legends.
It is.
League of Legends is worse than drugs, and everyone in the world knows
If
that
there's
very well.
anything we all can agree on, it's that Herbs is better than League in like every way.
Yeah, and it's just dumb to me that the only three things that we have really seen in America and all of the different countries that are not in Asia are the Twitter. That right now, good job. I
Mhm.
do think it like kind of resembles what I forgot his name, but it was like one of the the DMs and had a bear like a picture.
Mhm.
I think it was Aesop or something like that.
Yeah, ASAP.
Yeah, I think he was really cool. He was very funny.
Mhm.
He could do something to like advertise the game in
Yeah.
a more proper way because I remember that I forgot the name, though you guys said it like 3 times.
Mhm.
It was bad, really bad. Then besides from that, there is the streamers thingy that they did.
Mhm.
Good, you guys should do it again. I think it's great idea. Just try to not
I have sounds
do
off
the
because I'm
same
keeping
that
it
happened the
professional.
first time. And also, the other thing that I saw is the cinematic that they did lately.
But I also turned
I think
ads
it's the
off,
one that
so
they have now on the Steam page. That is great. It showed like some characters that are cool because that's also another reason that drags people in. The characters, how they look, how they act. I don't know,
yeah.
stuff like that. The visuals. It is a very big part of it. Another thing that I think it's wrong that they're doing is the graphic settings and the performance overall of the game because I started playing when the game released in on Steam and then I had to leave the game because I could not play. I had a very bad laptop that once they added some update, I was just not able to even open the game.
Yeah.
And uh, right now, I got a new device. It's still not the best, and the performance is decent. I think it's good, playable. It's okay, but you could, for example, go to, I don't know, even that game that Grubbz mentioned. I also tried it. That was that's Super Revive, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was also excited about it, and I tried it. It ran very good, but the game out in itself was very disappointing.
Yeah.
You already have a game that works. I don't think it needs any changes. I do think this thing that they added, the termination system, should be added. I think it should be upgraded into after the first objective fight ends. uh, because of the thing I was talking at the start about the new players. It's really hard to learn without someone guiding you. And if you don't have someone guiding you, if and you go to rank, you're not gonna have a great experience. And as soon as you reach that point where you cannot play with that friend that teach you how to play, then you're gonna be lost again.
Yeah.
That is the issue with not having enough people. That most of the players that just find the game are completely lost and dependent of the others. So if there's not enough players that are either bad, new, or don't really want to reach something high, there's no point for them on going on. They're just gonna go back to norms. They're gonna get equally as disappointed finding out that there's no really a restriction in norms and leave the game because they never got the chance to actually experience the game.
Yeah. No, you're perfectly right. And then, like, I think you reiterated a lot of the things I said beautifully, though. That, like, the point where people have to play long enough to find that attachment to something, whether it be like the art, the music, the lore, or the gameplay, or the competitive scene. Like, yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's even more wonderful the way you worded it, because the attachment I have to the community or the game is the community. Like, I'm here because of the people. Like, the game is great, don't get me wrong, and I certainly do enjoy it. But like, if it were an FPS, I'd have a lot more fun, if I'm being honest. I'm an FPS gamer. Normally, I don't play Battle Royale or MOBAs. They're actually like my two least favorite genres, but I think this game does it really, like, it combines the two. It takes the best things of both and somehow makes it really fun. I don't get it. I think, but mostly my positivity for the game comes from the community and finding the Eternal Connections Discord and like hanging out with people there and just having people to play with every single day and being able to interact with chat and say stupid stuff and like watch Grubbz dote on people. Like, you know, it's just that's what I'm here for. And I found my connection to the game through the people that play it. So I'm a total outlier. Most people aren't going to play like that, but I'm a living example that most people will pick a game because they'll get attached to it for some reason. That's just how it works. And a lot of people who play ER will get attached because of the things that they show us right away. The lore, the art, the characters, and then they completely tear that rug from out under our feet and then do absolutely nothing with it. The great thing is that I went back and I played Project Lumia. I streamed it a while ago and I had a whole lot of fun doing that, only to learn that most of the lore has been completely retconned. So it's not even relevant. And I learned a lot about that project. It's Immortal Soul, but being maintained by a super fan, which is crazy to think that. I'm glad that she did that so I can go back and play it. But like, that's my point.
Project Lumia, by the way.
Project
if you look
Lumia,
it up,
yeah.
You can access their Discord.
Absolutely. I'll post a link probably on the YouTube video when it comes out. I'm gonna link all your channels as well, and we'll go into that once we come to a close. I think that it's just a matter of I'm afraid for the players that come into this game. I think that the major drop off is mainly just because they don't have enough time, and because of the competitive state of the game, it doesn't allow people to find that breathing room to make that attachment to something. Like, what are they attached to the game for? The competitive scene? Well, you guys are, but it doesn't mean that everyone is. Just because if you're biased doesn't it doesn't mean that it's confirmation bias. It doesn't tell you that that's the way everybody else thinks. Maybe it's a majority, maybe it's a minority, but none of us can even prove that. So we can only assume that there's a good amount of players on both sides that would love for certain things to happen, and maybe some things like being a little more casual in norms could benefit a norms player base. Like that, I don't see why there would be any problem with that, because some of those players will eventually engage with ranked. And you're gonna have normies. I'm sorry, it's just going to happen. It doesn't matter what kind of game you are or how competitive you are going to have normies. And trying to cut those people off hurts your game inevitably. Like, you kind of have to allow those people to exist and do certain things to try and enable those people to form those attachments, because they will spend money, they will engage with your content. It gives us more people watching our channels. It helps community streamers like myself to have people who are normal, or just complete normies. Like, I'm sorry, as much as those people yap, and I understand where you're coming from, Grubbz, you kind of need that player base. You do. and you don't have to change your game to format for that way, but you shouldn't just completely cut them off. As funny as it
I didn't say
is.
to completely cut.
No,
I didn't
no,
say
I'm
that
not
at
saying
all.
that's what you said at all.
Well,
Yeah, no.
that's kind of like what you're insinuating, though. Like, I'm not the villain here.
My bad.
I'm just saying that, like, I love this game, and to like try to shift it for a completely casual audience, I think alienates it from what it like is right now. That's all.
My
That's
bad.
all I was trying
I
to
did
say.
kind of insinuate that. Sorry. To reiterate, I think that shifting towards one way or another would just inevitably damage the community. Going 100% one way or another is always going to be a bad thing for any game at all. So obviously, like, you should still have areas for the casuals to be able to enjoy the game and make those attachments and become the veterans, because that's just how competitive games are. Everyone starts as a casual and then will find that attachment eventually, whether it be instantly or not. But the players that don't immediately make that competitive attachment, those people just leave. They just leave. And the only reason I'm still here is because I'm a streamer. That's it. And I'm sorry, but like, most of the players that I'm talking about have already left. They've been long gone, and I can't even convince them to play it because they told me the game's too sweaty. And they just can't get into it because like it feels bad to go into norms games after several hours of bot games and just get completely shit stomped for like the next 30 levels. It just feels bad. Like that, it's just not a fun experience for anyone. So I think that it would be positive for the game's growth to find some way to try and remedy that. Now, I don't know what that would be, but the point of me bringing it up is for the developers to hopefully hear it and then come up with some ideas to try and fix it. Because I think that it's a problem, and of course, to fix a problem, you have to be willing to identify that it is one. So it's important to talk about it. But of course, me giving examples for how maybe we could fix certain things is just a way to try and maybe get NimbleNeuron to think of some kind of ideas, or maybe like push them in a certain direction, you know? But it's not me telling them how to do their jobs. I am not NimbleNeuron. I'm not a game developer. I'm just some typical like idiot Andy on Twitch doing dumb stuff for community. Like that's just what I do. I'm not a professional and I'm not a marketing genius, but I've been in the industry for a long time. I've played many different games, many different ways. I've witnessed games succeed for various reasons, and I've seen games fall apart for various other reasons. Usually like just very problematic stuff. But like, you get the point. Like, you can learn this stuff just by watching games succeed and fail. You can learn a lot of things by engaging with other people much more like experienced than you. So it always helps to talk to people that have more experience in something, which is why I bring you guys on, because you've been playing the game much longer than me, so you can give me these counterpoints that I need to be able to form a actual like positive opinion that might be able to help, you know?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You say you've been in the industry for a long time. Can you like elaborate on that?
I have played a lot of competitive games, and I've been engaging with a lot of articles, YouTube channels, people that have actually been developers and have discussed very openly about games. I've been just engaging with a lot of game journalism and developer-oriented content with a lot of developers, especially mostly indie, who will directly engage with their audiences as they're like through the development process. They're extremely transparent, and that's what I meant by earlier by transparency. Yeah, they told us what they plan to do, but not exactly how they plan to do it, and it's not their job to tell them that. Like, they don't need to do that, but it would be nice. I don't see why they couldn't. Like, it's not, is it going to hurt them? Well, maybe, and if that's true, then yeah, they don't. But like I've watched a lot of games fail for various obvious reasons that it doesn't take a degree to figure out. Like, some of this stuff is just common sense, or things that you can just figure out by analyzing other games that have either failed or succeeded. Movies that have failed, like it's just in general. Like, I haven't actually done anything professional, and I'm not going to pretend that I have. But that's what I mean when I say by, I guess, in the industry. I guess that would be the wrong way to say it. I've engaged with a lot of media in general that specialize or focus on specifically development and advertising and PR and game mechanics and game journalism. That's what I mean. I hopefully that gives you some kind of answer.
Yeah, I was just curious because when you say like you're in the industry, I was like, oh, I didn't know that you did like game development or
No,
like
that
professional
was
marketing or
that was
anything like
completely
that. So I
wrong.
was
No, I've
curious.
just engaged with a lot of media. It's kind of just my pastime.
Gotcha. I just again, I wanted to understand just
Okay.
where you're coming from.
No, sorry.
Also,
Like,
I have to
go
go.
ahead.
This has gone on for an hour longer
It's
than I think we planned. So
yeah,
can we yeah.
absolutely. I think that a lot of valuable points were made. Hopefully I didn't like miss anything. And of course, if you guys have points or problems or things that you want to address from this podcast or anything else, do like just let me know. You're all in the server. You guys can tell me things there. I have channels, get specific topics. If anybody in your chats or things are bringing things up, just let me know. And we can like make another panel for it. I do it every Friday, so just fill me in. Just give me a shout out. Anyway, we can bring things to a close. It's been a very long cast. But I think that like a lot of this stuff needed to be said, and I'm glad we did. Of course, you're all creators. If you want, you guys can shout out your content real quick, and then I can give links in the YouTube video when it comes out. I think you guys are all on YouTube, right? Who's on YouTube and who isn't? So I know.
Steeler is not.
Yeah.
Steeler is a streamer.
Still a streamer.
Both.
Just strange.
Catherine
And
and Shelly,
caster.
I don't think you're on YouTube, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
And
a
We
caster.
have a
caster.
channel, but we only have shorts
Okay.
I got
there.
the channel.
If you want to-
Shelly also has like his own channel.
If you want to link those, go ahead, and I'll save them somewhere, or just show them in the Discord, and I'll just save them. They're all streamers, of course, and go follow them on their own respective channels. I'm glad to have you guys here, and absolutely, your points were like some of the best points I've heard. It was very engaging. I hope that it was for you guys as well. I'm glad that you guys were all here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was interesting. I will definitely let you guys know when the next one's happening. I plan to do them every Friday at the same times. So if they ever don't work for you or you want to be on them, just let me know. And I'm gonna like talk to other creators and stuff. I try to get as many people as possible, and they don't just necessarily have to be creators. This was just very creator oriented. They can be just players, casuals, pros, whatever. If there's anybody you think that like would be valuable or provide good points or just wants to be on it, don't be afraid to let them know. I think that's really it. Is there anything you guys want to close out before we all head out here?
Check out Eternal Connections if you're looking for homies to play with.
Yeah, actually, I should send a Discord link real quick for the server. Yeah, you have
I made
one.
it for new players, and we have events sometimes. And if you are somebody that's trying to get better at the game, that's the whole reason why I made it. So, yep. Oh, and check out my YouTube channel. There you go.
Absolutely. This will be on my YouTube channel as well. It's on my Twitch profile, so if you guys want to visit on YouTube, totally go over there and check it out. Or just follow it and stay posted. I post it in all the Discord channels, so you'll see when the video comes out, and I'll let you guys know. But yeah, it's been great. It's been a long day. I did not expect we would talk that long, but just know that most podcasts are much shorter than this, so if that helps. This was just an intentionally long one. But yeah, it was good to have you guys. You are free to leave at your disclosure. I will make sure to get all of your links together. If you guys want, just post them in the podcast channel real quick, so I don't forget any of your channels you guys want linked. And then I'll post them all in the YouTube. But yeah, it was a long day. I'm glad you guys talked. I'll see you guys around sometime. I will probably still be streaming tonight. I'm gonna play some norms. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and have
Absolutely.
a wonderful night, everybody.
Thank you.
You too, Grubbz.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
It's good meeting you
Yeah.
guys.
Hell yeah.
All right, deuces.
Peace.
Peace.
See ya.